man than these, that a man will lay his life down for his friends. It has just been by the grace of God that we are still here. And we're going to appreciate him. The scripture says that for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you believe that the Lord has been good to you, I think it's a good time to say thank you, Jesus. Well, thank you for staying with me. This is Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM. And let me run you through what we have planned for you this morning. Of course, we'll kickstart things here this morning with a news review segment. And the next step will be Samuela Entry bringing you the latest business news. Then we jump to Lukman Evergreen Woman, who will bring us a sports flash. Then right after that, I will come your way with Business Brief. Then Transport Today comes your way. Then will be followed by Market Trends. Then of course we'll wrap up things with a roundtable discussion. And today we are talking about a very important subject. We're talking customer relationships and personal relationships. You definitely don't want to miss that conversation. Well, stay tuned. Up next is a newspaper or news review segment.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Well, one more time, good morning, and this is Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM, and it's time for news review. We want to go through some headlines and then we'll unpack it with my colleague, my friend and brother who is joining me over the phone lines, Abel and Soliwin Modiok. Let me run you through some of the headlines. Abel, good morning, how are you?
Good morning, Ralph. By God's grace, I'm doing well. What about you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well. We are back again this morning.
It's great to be back again.
Right. Let me run you through a few of the headlines from the newspapers this morning. So the Daily Graphic has a big story, which is debt restructuring. Ghana gains $2.8 billion. And it has a picture of Dr. Kisiel Atofo-Sing, the Minister for Finance. And also the Road Ministry audits debt owed contractors, and that comes from Kwame Agbuja, Minister of Roads and Highways. And then Minister of Works designates outlines plans to develop sectors. And then also free SHS benefits 3.9 million, not 5.1 million. That is from Haruna Idrisu, Minister of Education. And also 2025 Africa Prosperity Dialogues open today. And on the front page of the Ghanaian Times, the big story is that Ghana Official Creditors Committee seals pact and enjoys $2.8 billion debt relief. And also Angela lists assets role in BCM leadership. Press returns home from 3-nation visits. President Mahama is back in the country. Also on the front page of the Business and Financial Times, Professor Alabi appointed GCB board chairman, which is on page 2 of the newspaper. And then IEA wants capex at 10% of GDP in medium term, says sub -4% allocation inimical to growth. And government engages 60 banks to finalize 7% of debt restructuring. And also kept judgment debt. Analyst urges government as fiscal discipline effort intensifies. And on the front page of the Chronicle, military alone can't fight against Galamsey. Omanibo Amat bluntly tells Parliament. And our win chiefs MP clash over Galamsey, and also Parliament endorses Mahamas ministers. Comes with a picture of Honorable Ama Kofi Boa, the minister designate for lands and natural resources. And also on the front page of the New Crusading Guide, Baka Vomawo apologizes to Appointments Committee over bribery claims, and CWAA petitions IGP to arrest, investigate, and prosecute Nana Kwejo Eje. And also Ambassador Aku Alomatu Osei Ajiman, elected chair of IAEA Board of Governors. And then finally, minority demands severe sanctions against Emefa Hardcastle, and Ghana secures $2.8 billion debt relief after signing MOU with Official Creditors Committee. And then let's finish the headlines with the new finder, and it has a story that says prioritize social entrepreneurship, Ninoy Omabo, and that story is on page 6. And then we will validate road sector indebtedness, Minister says, and that story is on page 5 of the new finder. And then we will ensure banks commit to recapitalization plans to strengthen solvency, BOG pledges. That is all for the newspaper, the headlines for the newspapers this morning. And you may want to purchase the new finder. You may want to grab one and then read the stories in there. Very, very interesting stories. Abel, let's start this morning with talking about social entrepreneurship. Now, on the front page of the new finder, I just read that prioritize social entrepreneurship, Ninoy Omabo. Let me go to that story and read just a portion, and then I take your comments before we get into other matters. Now, social entrepreneur and founder of Africa Sustainability Lab, Ninoy Omabo, has called on the government to prioritize social entrepreneurship by establishing strong institutions, frameworks, and mobilizing financial resources. Speaking on Business on Breakfast, Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM, Omabo stated the vital role of government policies in fostering an environment where social enterprises can thrive and create lasting impacts. And he says governments play a huge role in social entrepreneurship, especially by setting the right policies and institutional frameworks. He explained that international donors and investors often assess a country's policies before committing funds, making it critical for Ghana to streamline its processes for registering businesses and providing structural support for enterprises. Omabo pointed to the YEA and the Ministry of Youth as key stakeholders in driving this change. He proposed the creation of innovation hubs where young entrepreneurs could access resources, collaborate, and develop solutions in industries such as textiles, food security, and sustainability. These hubs, he suggested, could serve as a platform for scaling ideas and reaching local, African, and global markets. And he also called on government to mobilize some fund for social enterprises. Abel, let's start from there. What are your thoughts on that?
A great call. Before a country can develop, needs support from the private sector, and of course, not just private sector, or individuals with the society.
Right.
And like Omabo said, once government priorities and policies align with international donors and basically also some of the international organizations, then it makes it easier for the support to come to some individuals who might have solutions to some social problems in those areas. Social problems abound in all our communities, And all of our communities, you see some social entrepreneurs identifying areas that they can provide certain solutions to. Like you said, the YEA is there, Ghana Enterprise Agency is also there, and NEED. Now we have, it used to be, the Youth Enterprise Support, now National Entrepreneurship Innovation Program also is there. All of them, I think they're all under the Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment. And once government is able to streamline some of its policies, not just in providing support for youth development, but that support must be targeted. Because if it goes into entrepreneurs who are providing solutions to communities and other societies, like you said, maybe in the area of health, maybe in the area of food, maybe area of some small-scale industry. Once you begin to provide them those, then they can expand on the that.
Right.
And if they are able to expand, then it means they are able to get other young people to join them. And that is how we build a society. So it's a very good call for him, and I think it is so cool.
Right. Also, another story on the front page of the New Finder says that we will ensure banks commit to recapitalization plans to strengthen solvency, BOG pledges. And I want to read a portion of that story, and then we'll pick your thoughts on that as well. But of course, what you mentioned about the call from Nino is actually very, very good. And a lot of attention has not been given to social entrepreneurship. Now, social entrepreneurship basically has got to do with any business at all that is making profit and as well making impact. But their major focus is to make impacts. But if they make some money on the side, that is positive. And that is something we all need to look into. We invest so much in just the profit-making ones, and we don't focus on the other ones that are actually solving problems. And so I think it's a great call for government to do something about it. And now let's go to the story on page 2 of the New Finder. It says that the Bank of Ghana has pledged to ensure that banks with capital shortfalls are there to their committed recapitalization plans to strengthen solvency. The commitment comes in the wake of stronger than anticipated economic growth and improved macroeconomic conditions positively impacting the banking sector. Governor of the bank, Dr. Enestadison, told journalists in Accra that supervisory activities will be intensified to ensure that banks address high non-performing loans ratio, which poses potential risks to the industry's stability. The improvement in domestic macroeconomic conditions is also expected to bolster debt servicing capabilities of corporate and household sectors, which would help mitigate further build-up on non-performing loans within the industry, the governor stated. The BOG approved recapitalization plans for undercapitalized banks, requiring them to inject at least 1/3 of the necessary capital annually over a three-year period ending in 2025 to achieve the required capital levels. It goes on and on. I can't read everything. Abel, so I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. If you don't, then we'll probably move to other stories.
Oh, yes. I think that is, the banking sector crisis came with renewed policies by BOD to ensure that the financial sector remains very strong going forward, and maybe we do not have a repeat of what happened. So I think these are measures that BOG continues to apply to ensure that the banks remain very solvent. Attend to the interest of the citizens. My only concern is that, a new administration with renewed focus, of course. In fact, we all know that when it comes to the financial sector, the approach to dealing with the banks, that of the current administration and the outgone administration was different. In fact, there's the financial sector cleanup exercise that resulted in about 22 billion or 23 billion Ghana cedis lost to the state.
Yeah.
I mean, cost to the state, not lost, but cost the state around 23 billion to clear. You know, the current administration, led by John Dramani Mahama, have always criticized the outgone administration and said that we didn't need to use 23 billion to do that when you could have used about 9 billion to support the banks to recapitalize and also ensure that they met existing requirements. So there's always been disagreement in ideas concerning how to maintain the banking sector. And now you have a new administration, and yet the Bank of Ghana is headed by people that were appointed by the old administration. So I don't know if there is alignment in terms of policy direction and focus, you know, between the BOG and that of the current administration. You know, BOG focuses on monetary policy, and the finance ministry focuses on fiscal policy. But the two of them basically manage the economy. And so if you have two institutions where there seem not to be policy alignment in their ideation, then there are going to be challenges. But as far as the banking sector is concerned, and what measures must ensure that it remains vibrant and the deposits of customers are safe and businesses and investors are assured of their investment. Every measure that should protect that, it's welcome. And the Bank of Ghana's measure must be supported.
Right. Very, very good points you raised there. Now, let's move to the new crusading guide. And it has a story that has run through almost all the newspapers that I have this morning. Ghana secures $2.8 billion debt relief. I think that's some good news. What do you think?
Yes. I think the news came yesterday, or I think so. Yes, and it's providing government with some relief in terms of physical space to maneuver around. And I watched the first briefing by the Minister for Finance, Dr. Kessel, and so forth, and you could tell, you know, on his face how I run out of expressions, but you could tell that he was basically excited. Because this gives you a much needed space to negotiate with some of your creditors. Now, I mean, for the bilateral partners, now you can engage them one-on-one and then see how you can resolve some of your differences. And it also allows the government the space to even look beyond and also beyond its borders and see how it can get some support to run some of its programs. So it gives government that needed briefing space to work as far as the economy is concerned. And so it's a very big deal. It's a big deal for this administration. And I think for all of us as Ghanaians, you know, because we want to see how the government can work to bring the economy out of the challenges that it has faced for some time now. If we have a good economy, I think everything is anchored on a good economy. And once the economy is in good shape, then we can predict things like price stability, we can predict inflationary measures and all that. And that helps a lot of businesses and investors. Because if you are investing your resources in an economy and you can't tell what the inflation will be in the next 1 month or the next 2 months, you can't tell what the exchange rate will be in the next 2-3 months, no business will want to invest its resources into such an economy. And at the end of the day, the citizens suffer for it. So it's a big deal for the administration, and we hope that the fiscal space will not be misused, you
right.
know. And as also a new finance minister, new confidence in the economy, every investor wants to give the administration an opportunity to see how different it can work things out.
Right.
It is our hope that new track that is being reposed in the Ghanaian economy and the Ghanaian sector, the Ghana as a country will not be misused. Yeah.
Right. Very, very good points. Now, you talk about the debt relief, and I'm excited that we've been able to at least secure some $2.8 billion debt relief. Now, but we need to be looking at the long term. You know, what are we doing to help our revenue? To show up our revenues as a country, because over the years, people have called on government to formalize the informal sector, because about 85% of Ghanaian businesses are in the informal sector. And that is, and we are losing all of that amount of money, through taxes, because we are unable to really track those people properly. And so there's been calls that we should formalize the informal sector and then be able to generate enough revenue. If we're able to do that, I think we wouldn't be running after international organizations like that for loans and all of that. You have something to say?
True. I think, in fact, in terms of revenue mobilization, it's very critical. And especially at the time also that the government intends to cap some levies that it regards as nuisance levies, like e-levy, right, COVID levy, and then the emissions
the betting tax
levy, among others. So it's very important and critical that government looks within in terms of revenue mobilization. I recall vividly that when the finance minister went to vetting, those questions came that you want to scrap certain levies, and how do you intend to raise revenue, especially once you consider that in the international market we are shut out of borrowing, so you can't borrow, and you want to scrap some levies. So what basically can you do? I think one of the things that this administration is banking its hopes on is cutting expenditure.
Right.
So the issue of a lean government has featured in a lot of the conversations, and some analysts have been trying to check whether by appointing 60 ministers and appointing a lean government, whether that really will have an effect on the expenditure, whether that directly translates into expenditure cuts. Of course, we've done those analysis in the past before, and I said that even if one Ghana city is going to be saved in the public purse, that is enough. We must encourage every government from now and as and when to do that. So expenditure cuts is one of them. The government must look into areas that it can do some efficiency tests without necessarily incurring more cost, where just some few people can yield more results. Aside that, working with GRA to mobilize more revenue, and in mobilizing more revenue, it doesn't have to do with harassing businesses and things. You just have to ensure that your systems that you put in place to collect the taxes are efficient,
right,
so that there are no loopholes for those taxes to get out of the system.
Right.
And also, the conversation of property tax has been had several times in this year. In this country, whether the job should be left for the municipal assemblies to do, or it should be central government coming for it. All that we all agree is that property tax collection in the system has been woefully, has been abysmal. So you need money as a country, and yet you don't collect your property tax. You have to find a way to do that,
right,
and do it efficiently so that the money hits your coffin.
Yeah.
If you also study the system, like you said about the informal sector, I think part of the government's plan now is to find an insurance scheme for the informal sector. You have to find innovative ways to rope them in. I think insurance is one of the ways to get them in. And the government is proposing a new policy where it intends to support those within the informal sector so that they can contribute some amount so that at least for some number of years, a voluntary amount maybe or a cut-off point where they can start, and when they are about going on retirement, they can also fall on it. I think these are all measures that you can bring them. You have to find innovative means, like you said, to rope them in. And something like this, I think the policy is Money You insurance policy or something. I stand to be corrected.
Yeah, I think I've heard Money You also.
Yeah, so that is also, for me, I think it's a very genuine means to rope the informal sector in. And once you get them through that, other incentives like what they intend to do with a 24-hour economy in providing incentives to some businesses so that they can employ more people. Those are incentives that can make you capture those in the informal sector, you know. And so there's a lot of room for improvement when it comes to how we can engage the informal sector and then tap in more revenue to the state. And it is to the finance minister and GRE and all the financial sector players to sit down and find that solution so that it can save the country against the
and of course, pension schemes are very, very important in this because a lot of these people in the informal sector, like artisans, seamstresses, carpenters, and all of that, most of them don't have pension plans. And so if we're able to put in those structures, I believe that it will also get them to come on board because if their future is secured, it is something that they would buy into. Now, let's move on to Parliament, where yesterday Bakavoma or Oliver apologized to the appointment committee. I know you have a lot of things to say about that, but also let's combine that with MFA Hardcastle. You know, she made some comments in Parliament 2 days ago, and they are demanding for some severe sanctions on her head. So, what are your thoughts on that as well?
Bakavoma, I don't know. That statement caused a lot of storm. I don't think it should have. I think, like he himself, when he got there, he was trying to say that, of course, if you look at Manasseh Azere's book, The President Ghana Never Got, Manasseh Azere made assertions to, you know, money flying from the Jubilee House to
I think he accused the chairman of the committee at the time, Honorable Joe Wise.
Yeah. So, but for Vomo, I think that this exercise was also more like Parliament trying to fetch its image of perception.
Right.
That people say things that are not true, and when put to strict proof, they cannot provide them. And that these perceptions are what drives negative sentiments towards Parliament, you know?
Yeah.
And I think they wanted to use him as an example to say that all the things you hear, they are just allegations without any proof.
Right.
And I think that this particular exercise did a lot of good to Parliament and did a lot of bad to a lot of the people that put allegations out there. And maybe now going, when somebody says something about Parliament, people be asking, do you have any proof? We saw someone who went there, you know? We saw someone who went there and couldn't provide any proof. So people will begin to now look at those things with from a different angle. You know, all along, I've always known that put to strict proof, Vomo will have no essential evidence to provide. And yet you accuse people, and that is one of the things we do in this country. You know, somebody will sit somewhere and say, oh, this person have done this person have done this. Yeah. Have you heard? He heard this person have done this. We like, have you heard? Have you heard?
The hearsays are too much.
Yes, the hearsays, you know. And then sometimes you end up injuring the reputations of people.
Right.
And when the people go somewhere, somebody will be whispering about them and think, meanwhile, there's no evidence to it. If there's hardcore evidence, we can speak to some issues like that, where there are perceptions too, and we want to write in that regard. You must be clear in your mind that you are writing about perceptions, you know, so that when people are reading, they do not go away with the impression that this is the case. Because if you say that somebody must subject himself to oral, and we know what oral is doing, oral is gathering evidence of from various sectors of looting that has taken place, of people that have engaged in illegalities. So if you say somebody must subject himself to oral, you are basically saying that the person is engaged in illegality. You know? And yet, when put to strict proof, you cannot provide that. I think it's very unfair to the appointment committee and to Parliament itself, you know, that some of those sweeping allegations can be made, and when put to strict proof, we don't have
any proof.
You have to be apologizing, and that it's not good for our democracy. But again, this exercise in itself is also very good for our democracy.
Right.
You know, that our democracy allows us to air our views.
Right.
And there are measures in place where if those views aired are felt in a certain direction, those measures are there that you can appear and either defend or apologize, or the avenue for that issue to be resolved, instead of maybe where you say something and then the next morning some national security picks you up and, you know, nobody knows. No. So for me, it is also an improvement in our democratic exercise. And so it's very welcome.
Right. I'd wanted us to also talk about the MFA story, but of course, I mean that is it. They are calling for a head, and I know she will also come and probably apologize later or something.
The speaker has said the speaker is going to give a ruling or a report on that particular issue. That.
Oh, okay.
That's the only reason why I don't want to comment
on that. Okay, that's fine. So let's finalize. Yeah. I mean, in 1 minute, Abel, 1 minute, I beg you. Yeah. Now, the Minister of Education, Aruna Idrisu, has said that the free SHS numbers is not up to 5.1 million as purported by the previous government, but it's actually 3.9 million. And the concern is that if you are telling us that people over 5.1 million people have benefited from free SHS, then it means that it's probably affected our spending. It means that there's some 1.2 million thereabout spendings that have been made. Meanwhile, it didn't go to the education. I mean, it didn't go to the free SHS as we're trying to make it look like. In 1 minute.
True. Well, interesting enough, I did a policy analysis on the free SHS sustainability.
Wow.
And I relied on some of the data that was provided. And usually the numbers that at the time provided by the Ministry of Education, the number is even not 5.1, it's 5.7 million, or is it 5.6 million? So, like you say, that the number of the beneficiaries correspond with the spending that has been done. And so if at the end of the day the discovery is that that is not the number, this is the number, then we must be asking, really, did the spending that we've been quoting go to this 3 point something or went to the 5.6, 5.7 million students? I think we'll have to look at the data and everything.
Right.
I've not seen the data. But like you are intimating, that is a very genuine question to ask. I'll have to look at the data. And then maybe when we have the opportunity. We can really talk into the issue. But it's a very genuine question you have raised. If it is 5.7, and let's say we spent, I'm assuming that we spent 12 billion. And now we are making the discovery that
it is 3.9,
Then
it means that some money has passed somewhere. You're right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a genuine question, but let's look at the data and then we'll come back to that.
Okay. Sure. Abel, thank you very much for joining me this morning. I'm really grateful that you joined me. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, it's exactly 7 a.m. and Samuela Enchi brings us a business news. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to Zed 101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Hello and welcome to the business news segment on Business Breakfast on Zed. Coming up, GMPC E&I strengthening ties to boost Ghana's energy sector. Also, financial institutions must adapt to AI's rapid evolution, says Ecobank Group CEO. And on the international scene, Meta agrees to $25 million settlement with Trump over social media ban. I am Samuela Enchi. Please let's get into the details. The Ghana National Petroleum Corporation GNPC and Italian energy giant Eni have reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening collaboration to drive growth in Ghana's energy sector. This follows a high-level meeting between GNPC's Chief Executive Officer Edward Bauer and Eni representative Maurizio Pina at the corporation's headquarters in Accra. The discussions, which form part of Mr. Bauer's early engagement with key industry partners, explored new areas of cooperation to maximize oil and gas production while ensuring environmental sustainability. The GNPC CEO emphasized the need for strategic alliances to enhance efficiency and create value across the petroleum value chain. Eni executives expressed confidence in GNPC's leadership and reiterated their commitment to deepening engagement with the corporation. The talks centered on improving ties between the two entities, optimizing existing assets, and identifying new opportunities for joint initiatives and future exploration projects. The renewed partnership aligns with GNPC's broader vision of ensuring Ghana's energy security while driving economic growth. Both parties are optimistic that their strengthened cooperation will contribute to the long-term sustainability and advancement of the country's energy sector. Away from that, the rapid advancement of artificial intelligence is reshaping the financial sector, bringing both opportunities and challenges, according to Jeremy Awori, Group CEO of Ecobank Transnational Incorporated. He emphasized the need for industry leaders to adapt swiftly to AI's fast-paced evolution as financial institutions integrate new technologies into their operations.
I think the challenge with AI is it's evolving at such a pace that it's hard for leaders to keep up, right? And I think that's the challenge for all of us. So many developments, computing, so many companies doing different things. So keeping up is just a leadership challenge, and we all have to rise to that. But in terms of the use of AI, I think there's going to be so many use cases. You touched on KYC AML, the ability to analyze data sets and correlate data points to reduce risk. Let's say it's called terrorist financing. You can do things in fractions of a second that would take months to do manually. So that gives us greater assurance that we're able to manage suspicious transactions, manage financial crime in a more sophisticated manner. It becomes hard. And when you cross-correlate things like Internet of Things, you start cross-correlating data sets in banking with footage that you've got of CCTV cameras, the security forces should be able to deal with that better. Now, when it comes to day-to-day banking, analytics around credit scoring, artificial intelligence solutions on that front, again, are drastically going to improve the services that we offer. They will improve the way we manage risk, and see trends much faster to enable us either to stop in some areas or to go into some areas if things are working. So it's going to be incredibly important that we do that. And I think for us to do that, what is exciting for us in EcoBank, we believe in doing this through partnerships. In the past, banks used to build everything themselves. But now these firms are much more advanced in their area. So credit scoring, for example, we can partner. There's AI companies who provide certain solutions. our partnership with Transfer 2. They have great compliance solutions that we're looking at integrating into this. When we're looking at nano loans, they have great solutions also that they will bring. So for us, it's an exciting opportunity, and we see this great for customers, which is more important than anything else.
You just heard Jeremy Awori, Group CEO of EcoBank Transnational Incorporated. On the international scene, Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, has agreed to a $25 million legal settlement with U.S. President Donald Trump, resolving a lawsuit he filed over the suspension of his account following the January 6 Capitol riot in 2021. The settlement, first reported by the Wall Street Journal, does not require Meta to admit wrongdoing. Of the total amount, $22 million will be allocated to a fund for Trump's presidential library, while the remaining sum will cover legal costs and compensation for other plaintiffs who joined the lawsuit. Meta had banned Trump's account for at least 2 years after the Capitol riot, citing concerns over incitement to violence. However, ahead of the 2024 U.S. presidential election, the company lifted all remaining restrictions on his Facebook and Instagram profiles in July 2024, restoring his access to its vast audience. Following Trump's re-election victory in November 2024, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg visited Mar-a-Lago, a move widely interpreted as a sign of warning relations between the two. The company later donated $1 million to Trump's inauguration fund, and Zuckerberg was among the high-profile guests at Trump's January 2025 inauguration ceremony in Washington, D.C. For years, Trump had been openly critical of Zuckerberg and Meta, accusing Facebook of bias against conservatives. He previously accused the platform of working against him in 2017, and following his ban, described it as being against the interest of the American people in 2024. Trump's reinstatement on Meta platforms follows a similar move by Elon Musk, owner of X, formerly Twitter. Musk restored Trump's X account in 2022 after conducting a poll in which a narrow majority of users voted in favor of lifting the ban. Meanwhile, Meta continues to defend its $65 billion investment in artificial intelligence as concerns grow over the rapid rise of Chinese AI app DeepSeek. A recap of the headlines. Financial institutions must adapt to AI's rapid evolution, says EcoBank Group CEO. Also, GMPC ENI strengthen ties to boost Ghana's energy sector. And on the international scene, Meta agrees to $25 million settlement with Trump over social media ban. And that's how we wrap up business news on Business Breakfast on Zed. I am Samila Enchi. Thanks for listening. And up next is Sports Flash with Lukeman Evergreen Moomin. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
You're tuned in to Zed 101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Calling all lovers to feel the love this Valentine with Love A to Z on ZFM.
We're bringing love to life in every way, whether it's a grand gesture or a simple story.
Share your love moments with us, dedicate your favorite songs, and win amazing prizes along the way.
Tune in to Love A to Z on ZFM 101.9.
From Wednesday the 29th of January to Friday, February 14th, you'll have the chance of winning amazing prizes from interactions on all our social media channels.
From BBZ to the brighter side with NYA the brand, and all the way to Highway 1019.
This Valentine, we'll make it every day a day to remember. Tune in, feel the love, and let us make your celebration unforgettable.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
In the heart of Accra, nestled in the vibrant neighborhood of East Legon and New Beacon, a 360 multimedia firm has emerged. Introducing Zed Multimedia. With a steadfast focus on lifestyle, leisure and business, we set out to bring high-value oriented programs that captivate the taste and desires of our audience. From the captivating airwaves of Zed 101.9 FM to the dynamic visuals of Zed TV and the innovative realms of Zed Digital and the incubation of advanced technological knowledge at Zed Tech, every facet of modern media is meticulously curated to engage and inspire. Also, let's not forget the new Finder newspaper, now under the Zed Multimedia umbrella, delivering insightful journalism with a business focus. Join us on the journey where innovation meets inspiration, where lifestyle meets leisure, and where business thrives. Change is here. Zed Multimedia, your lifestyle, leisure and business platform.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
The stage is set for something special.
It is time to go racing.
Garnacho! Oh wow! Oh wow! LeBron James with no regard for human life. You couldn't write a script like this.
Here's Metzer. This is Moses Williams.
Kudus! The Korean joy did not last for long.
Oh my gosh, Kudus.
Step back for Partey. Oh yes, Thomas Partey!
Hello, good morning. It's time for Sports Flash on the Business Breakfast on Zed. My name is Lukman Evergreen Moment. And of course, last night provided us with some interesting results from the UEFA Champions League. Meanwhile, there are some moves currently in Europe, while we also have results from the NBA matches that were played last night. Well, we begin with some local football news, and coach Ibrahim Tanko has joined Mediama SC on a 2.5-year deal. The club confirmed this on Wednesday. Now, the UEFA License A holder has completed the formalities to begin life in Takwa, where expectations for success runs extremely high. Now, the former Accra Lions coach says he's very ready for the new challenge.
And blessed because I knew Mediama not today. And I'm friends to the president, I think almost 6 years or 7 years. So, and today I'm here, I find a new home. So definitely I'm feeling happy. Mediama Sporting Club is one of the biggest in the country. When you look at the last 10 years, what the team achieved with all the infrastructure, and yeah, I think it's a very good choice for me. I think I can make it happen here. I mean, that's in the nature of the sports we are in. We always want to be better, definitely. And the success is there, like I said before. And I'm here also to achieve something.
Well, so that was former Accra Lions coach Ibrahim Tanko, now coach of Mediama SC, the former champions of the Ghana Premier League. Away from Mediama to Kumasi Asante Kotoko, their head coach Prosper Nate Ogum has called for increased support as the team enters the second half of the Ghana Premier League season. Despite their solid start to the campaign, finishing the first round top of the table with 34 points from 10 wins, 4 losses and 4 draws, Ogum highlighted the need for more fan involvement in their upcoming games. Also, a former Youth and Sports Minister, Edwin Nilante Vanderpoy, has expressed his full support for Kofi Adams, the Minister of Sports and Recreation designate, ahead of his parliamentary vetting. Now, although Vanderpoy was previously considered for the position, he has pledged his backing for President Mahamad's nominee, stressing the importance of teamwork over individual aspirations. To Ghanaian players abroad, Andre Ayew, Ghana's most capped player, has named key figures who have shaped his career, including his legendary father.
Hi, I'm Andre Ayew, and these are the 5 people who made me. The first person is my father. He is my idol. He is very influential in everything that I do. He has always supported, always advised, and who made me always want to dream big. He's my everything. Number 2 is my mom. She played a huge role. She's the queen of the Ayew family. She handles everything, good, bad, and education. We never lacked anything when we were young, so we were very blessed. These 2 are on top of the list.
Well, so that was Andre Ayew. Yes, they never lagged when they were kids. If your father is Andre, if your father is actually Abedi Pele, you should be having a step ahead in life. Now, RC Loans have submitted a bid to sign Ghanaian winger Kamaldeen Suleimana from Southampton on loan, with an option to make the move a permanent one, according to reports in France. Suleimana joined Southampton from Stade Rennais for 25 million euros in January 2023. However, his playing time has been limited this season, with the winger starting only 3 Premier League matches as the Saints face the threat of relegation. Meanwhile, in France, Black Stars midfielder Elisha Owusu has been named in the team of the week in France after another impressive display for AJ Auxerre. The Ghana international delivered an assist as Auxerre were held to a 1-1 draw at home by Saint Etienne on match day 19 of the French Ligue 1. And in Spain, Real Valladolid have reached an agreement to sign Ghana defender Joseph Edu on loan for the rest of the campaign. Edu has struggled for game time at Celta Vigo this season following his injury when he played for the Black Stars in that friendly against the United States of America in October 2023. Now, away from the local scene to some UEFA Champions League results. Yesterday, there were thrilling games and there were thrilling results as well. Now, Aston Villa defeated Celtic by 4-2 at home to advance to the knockout stages of the competition. Now, Barcelona also were held at home by Atalanta to a 2-2 draw. Bayer Leverkusen defeated Sparta Prague by 2-0. Bayern Munich were also 3-1 winners over Slovan Bratislava. Now, Borussia Dortmund defeated Shakhtar Donetsk by 3-1 at home. Real Madrid traveled to France to beat Brest by 3-0. Dinamo Zagreb were also winners over AC Milan. Girona lost 2-1 at home to Arsenal. Inter Milan defeated AS Monaco, who were reduced to 10 men after the 12th minute by 3-0. Juventus lost at home to Benfica. Lille actually defeated Feyenoord by 6-1. Manchester City produced magic to defeat Club Brugge by 3-1 and end up in the playoff of the new format of the UEFA Champions League. Now, Liverpool lost for the first time in the UEFA Champions League this season after they lost to PSV Eindhoven by 3-2 last night. Atletico Madrid continued their fine form with a 4-1 win over Red Bull Salzburg. Meanwhile, there were wins for Sporting Lisbon, actually drew 1-1 with Bologna, and Sturm Graz defeated RB Leipzig by a 0-0. VfB Stuttgart lost to Paris Saint-Germain by 4-1, and of course, the man in form, Ousmane Dembele, produced another electric night in Europe. And Young Boys lost at home to Red Bull Red Star Belgrade of Serbia. So if you're wondering, this is how the table looks in the UEFA Champions League. These are the top 8 teams that have advanced straight into the round of 16 of the competition. Now, Liverpool, Barcelona, Arsenal, Inter Milan, Atletico Madrid, Bayer Leverkusen, Lille, and Aston Villa. So these are the teams that will be waiting for the teams that will be engaged in playoff. The teams that will be in the playoffs are the teams from the 8th position, from the 9th position actually to the 24th position. They will play playoff sort of matches in order to make it to the round of 16. Meanwhile, tonight there will be games in the Europa League where Manchester United, Tottenham, and the other teams will be involved in. Now, AS Roma will be playing Eintracht Frankfurt. Galatasaray travel to the Netherlands to play Ajax. Anderlecht will play Hoffenheim. And Tottenham Hotspur, they will be hosting Elfsberg. Now, this is Tottenham coach Ange Postecoglou speaking ahead of that match.
My message would be to all Spurs fans, because I represent them all, not just the angry ones that you're referring to or maybe you're talking to. All Spurs fans is that, you know what, we're working hard to turn this around. Obviously, we know the situation, notwithstanding the fact that the possibilities and opportunities in these in the second half of the season are still very much in our hands to capitalise on and still make it a successful season.
Well, in other games, Anderlecht will play Hoffenheim. Athletic Bilbao will also be playing Victoria Pleasant, while Manchester United will be hosting Young Boys at Old Trafford tonight. Their manager, Ruben Amorim, has been speaking ahead of that game.
You can look at our team and imagine the profile of the players, you know. Now imagine a talent like Rashford. Our team should be so much better with Rashford. But this Rashford, he has to change. If he change, we are more than welcome to put a talent like Rashford, and we need it. So, but in this moment, I think it's really clear that we have to set some standards. That's all. We are waiting for Marcus if he wants really, really bad. That's the only thing. So it's you try to make like something personally. It's not personal. I have nothing against Marcus. I just have to make the same rules for everybody, and that for me it's so simple.
Well, so that was Ruben Amorim speaking about Rashford's future at Old Trafford. Now, away from football to some tennis news, the US Open will become a 15-day tournament in 2025, beginning on the weekend for the first time in the Open era. This year's main draw at Flushing Meadows will start on Sunday, August 24th, and end on Sunday, 7th September. It becomes the latest Grand Slam to announce a Sunday as the start day. Now, in basketball, the Washington Wizards were defeated by the Toronto Raptors by 106-82. The Cleveland Cavaliers defeated the Miami Heat by 126-106. The Philadelphia 76ers were surprising winners over the Sacramento Kings. Now, the Chicago Bulls lost to the Boston Celtics, and the New York Knicks continued their fine form with a victory over former champions Denver Nuggets. Now, the San Antonio Spurs also lost to the LA Clippers, while the Phoenix Suns were defeated by the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Dallas Mavericks edged the New Orleans Pelicans by just a point, while the Golden State Warriors also defeated the Oklahoma City Thunders. That will be all for sports this morning. Continuing the show is Raphael with Business Breakfast on Zed.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Zed 101.9 FM.
1, 2, 3!
Dive into a world of exhilarating fun, refreshing thrills, and endless splashes at the Marina Water Park inside Lakeside. With a wide array of water attractions, you are guaranteed an unforgettable experience for the whole family. Open Saturdays 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sundays 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Call 0508-598-948 or 0204-775-044. Follow us on all socials at Lakeside Marina Park. Marina Water Park. Love the experience.
Hello, fun!
All lovers to feel the love this Valentine with Love A to Z on Zed FM.
We're bringing love to life in every way. Whether it's a grand gesture or a simple story.
Share your love moments with us. Dedicate your favorite songs and win amazing prizes along the way.
Tune in to Love A to Z on ZFM 101.9.
From Wednesday the 29th of January to Friday February 14th, you'll have the chance of winning amazing prizes from interactions on all our social media channels.
From BBC to the brighter side with NYA the brand, and all the way to Highway 1019.
This Valentine, we'll make it every day a day to remember. Tune in, feel the love, and let us make your celebration unforgettable.
Zed 101.9 FM.
Well, you still tune into Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Nitrebi Hammond. Just gone by was the sports flash with Lukman Evergreen Mumin, and then business news with Samuela Entry. The song in the background, I enjoy it so much. There's a part that says, Makuma brefo down mame. It's a very strong part. And the Bible says in Psalm 127 verse 1 that except the Lord, or unless the Lord builds a house, the work of the builders is wasted. And unless the Lord protects a city, guarding it with sentries will do no good. The King James says that except the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman will watch it in vain. This morning, it's time for Business Brief here on Business Breakfast on Zed. And I have something important to share with you. You don't want to miss that. Stay tuned. Well, welcome back. This is Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM. And now time for Business Brief. And this morning, I am talking to you about the power of relationships, both with customers and within teams, and how they can make or break a business. Now, one of the best examples of this is Starbucks. Those of you who know Starbucks, Starbucks is a coffee brand. It's a brand that has mastered the art of building strong customer relationships while also fostering a positive work culture among its employees. Now, in the early 2000s, Starbucks faced a challenge. What was the challenge? Now, the coffee market had, been saturated with a lot of competitors, and customers had a lot of options to choose from. Now, that meant that Starbucks wasn't just competing on price or taste. It had to find a way to create loyal customers, because indeed, if there are other options for customers, then they get to choose from a wide range of them. And so you need to do something special other than just your taste and then your price to keep them. And that was what they focused on. Now, at the same time, also, the company faced an internal challenge with employee satisfaction. Now, baristas, of course, were at the heart of customer interactions, but high turnover and lack of motivation threatening the quality of service. Now, without a strong internal culture, Starbucks risked losing the personal touch that made it unique. What did they do? Starbucks understood that success wasn't just about selling coffee. It was about building relationships. And they focused on 2 key areas. And I want to share something on that with you this morning. Number 1 is that they focus on building strong customer relationships. And then number 2, they focus on building strong personal relationships with their employees. Now, let me take you through these 2. Let's focus on building customer relationships. Now, instead of just treating their customers like transactions, Starbucks made every visit an experience. And here's how they did it. First of all, they introduced personalized customer service. All the baristas were trained to engage customers, remember their names and even their favorite drinks. So before anybody walks in, they know the person's name, they know the kind of drink that the person will usually take. And so once you come in, they welcome you. And that strengthened their relationship because it made customers feel valued and also seen. Now, they also came up with some loyalty programs. Starbucks came up with a rewards program that gave customers points for every purchase. So anytime you buy anything from them, they reward you with some points. And when you get to a certain point, when the points increases to a certain threshold, you can get a free drink. And so people became, they felt it was like a club, an exclusive club that they had joined because they were building to be able to get some rewards at the end of the day. Now, the company also hosted community events. They started hosting book readings, music nights, and all of that. And that strengthened their emotional connections with their customers. So to build a relationship, a good relationship, Starbucks introduced a personalized customer service. Anytime anybody walks in, they know who that is. They know the kind of drinks that the person was coming to purchase or the favorite drink of the person. They also introduced reward systems where they were giving points to people that were buying from them. And so as and when you reach a certain threshold, then they give you something. They give you a drink out of that. They also focus on creating a community outside through the business. They started introducing community events, book readings, and music nights, and what have you. And that strengthened the emotional connections with their customers. Now, one thing too that they did was that they focused on brand experience. And their brand experience was consistent. Whether you entered or you walked into a Starbucks in New York, London, or even Accra, the warm atmosphere, the friendly baristas, and the quality service remained the same. And that alone builds trust and loyalty with their people or their customers. Now, the second thing that they did, apart from building strong customer relationships, was building strong personal relationships with their employees. They knew that happy employees will create happy customers. All right. And so they focus on empowering employees. There's a program they call partners. They don't call their employees. They call them partners. So they make them feel like an essential part of the brand rather than just workers. They also introduce training and growth opportunities, which is very, very important. Now, employees received world-class trainings on customer service, leadership, personal development, and all of that. And that alone made them more confident and motivated. All right. They also introduced some employee benefits. Now, unlike many companies, Starbucks offered health benefits, tuition assistance, stock options to even part-time employees. And this improved their retention and morale. The final thing that they did was they encouraged a family culture. They encourage, apart from empowering their employees and calling them partners or giving them the trainings and the benefit, the health benefits and the tuition assistance and all of that, they created an environment where everybody felt part of the team. And that promoted teamwork, mutual respect, and support among employees. So all the employees felt valued, and they naturally provided better services to their customers. So what was the result of all of these things that they did? Customers remained loyal. They gained a lot of customers, over millions of customers who weren't just buying coffee, but they were part of the community they had created. And it felt them, it made them feel very part of it. Now, they also increased. There was also an increase in their revenue generation. Now, they saw an increase in repeat customers, and that led to strong financial performance. Another thing is that they were able to expand globally. because they had a strong reputation, a strong brand reputation, and so they were able to expand globally. Now, what are the key takeaways? Customers stay loyal to businesses that treat them like people. They won't, if you treat them like customers, they won't come back. Treat them like people. Make sure that there's a personal touch. Remember their names. What if it's a drink that you're selling? Remember their drink preference. If it's food, remember even how much they buy. Once they feel connected, they'll always come to you. Another thing is that a strong internal culture leads to better external relationship. If your employees are happy and motivated, they naturally provide better services, and that will create positive customer experiences. So focus on that. Now, also consistency builds trust. Whether in personal or business relationship, people appreciate reliability. And Starbucks' ability to maintain the same great experience across all their stores reinforce customer trust. Now, Starbucks' success is a proof that strong relationships, both personal and professional, are the key to long-term success. So you may want to focus on that. Now, let's think about this in our own lives and our workplaces. How can we build stronger relationships with customers, colleagues, and even in our personal interactions? That is what we'll be diving into today when we settle for the roundtable discussion with a customer service expert who will be coming in studio to talk with me. You don't want to miss that conversation because you need to know more about long-term success as a business. Up next is Transport Today with Solomon Tetenate. Please stay tuned.
This is the pre-boarding announcement for flight 3728.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engines running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Well, this is still Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Ni Trebi Hammond. Now time for Transport Today. And Solomon Tetenate is seated to bring us all of that. Solu, how are you?
I'm good. What about you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well myself.
Thank God.
Yeah. Please take us to the flight schedules for today.
Taking you through the flight schedules. I will start with Passion Air, as we know. But usually we have only two flights or airlines operating in Accra, domestically. Yeah, so that is Passion Air and then African World Airlines. So I'm taking you through Passion Air Accra to Kumasi. So Accra to Kumasi, first flight takes off 6:20 a.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 7 a.m. and then takes off in Kumasi at 7:30 a.m. and then arrives in Accra at 8:10 a.m. Second flight takes off in Accra, at 11:20 a.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 12 p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi at 12:30 p.m. and then gets to Accra at 1:10 p.m. Third flight, takes off 1:50 p.m. in Accra and then arrives in Kumasi at 2:30 p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi at 3 p.m. and then gets to Accra at 3:40 p.m. And then the fourth flight takes off 7:20 p.m. in Accra and then arrives in Kumasi at 8:10 p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi at 8:30 p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 9:20 p.m.
Right.
Passion Air, we are still in Passion Air, Accra to Takoradi. We have two flights available today. First flight takes off 8:50 a.m. in the morning, in Accra, and then arrives in Takoradi at 9:30 a.m. and then takes off in Takoradi at 10 a.m. and then gets to Accra at 10:40 a.m. Second flight takes off 4:20 p.m. In the morning, and then gets to Takoradi at 5:10 p.m. and then takes off in Takoradi at 5:40 p.m. and then gets to Accra at 6:30 p.m.
Right.
Accra to Sunyani Passion Air. We have only one flight available today. It takes off 9:30 a.m. in Accra and then gets to Sunyani at 10:30 a.m. and then takes off in Sunyani at 10:50 a.m. and then arrives in Accra at 11:50 a.m. And then Accra to Wa Passion Air, we have one flight available today. It takes off 12:20 p.m. in Accra and then arrives in Wa at 2 p.m. and then takes off in Wa at 2:40 p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 4 p.m. So that is Passion Air Accra to Wa. And then Passion Air Accra to Tamale. We have 2 flights available today. Right. So first flight takes off 6 a.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 7:20 a.m. and then takes off in Tamale at 7:50 a.m. and then gets to Accra at 9:10 a.m. Second flight takes off in Accra at 4 p.m. and then gets to Tamale at 5:20 p.m. and then takes off in Tamale at 5:50 p.m. Right. and then gets to Accra at 7:10 p.m. So that is Passion Air flight schedules for Accra to Tamale, Accra to Wa, Accra to Sunyani, Accra to Takoradi, and then Accra to Kumasi. Let's look at Africa World Airlines. Accra to Kumasi, Africa World Airlines. Today, the demand is really high. We have 8 flights available today from Accra to Kumasi, Africa World Airlines. First flight takes off 6:20 a.m. in Accra and then arrives in Kumasi at 7 a.m. and then takes off in Kumasi at 7:30 a.m. and then gets to Accra at 8:10 a.m. Second flight takes off 8:40 a.m. in Accra and then arrives in Kumasi at 9:20 a.m. and then takes off in Kumasi at 9:50 a.m. and then gets to Accra at 10:20 a.m. Third flight takes off 9:40 a.m. in Accra and then arrives in Kumasi at 10:20 a.m. and then takes off in Kumasi at 10:50 a.m. and then gets to Accra at 11:30 a.m. Fourth flight takes off 11 a.m. in Accra and then arrives in Kumasi at 11:40 a.m. and then takes off in Kumasi 12:10 p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 12:50 p.m.
Right.
Fifth flight takes off 1:20 p.m. in Accra and then arrives in Kumasi at 2 p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi at 2:30 p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 3:10 p.m. Right. Sixth flight takes off 2:10 p.m. in Accra and then arrives in Kumasi at 2:50 p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi at 3:20 p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 4 p.m. Seventh flight takes off 3:10 p.m. in Accra and then arrives in Kumasi at 3:50 p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi at 4:20 p.m. Right. and then arrives in Accra at 5 p.m. And then the last flight for Africa World Airlines, Accra to Kumasi. It takes off in Accra at 7 p.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 7:40 p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi at 8:10 p.m. and then gets to Accra at 8:50 p.m. So that is Africa World Airlines Accra to Kumasi.
Right.
So let's look at Accra to Takoradi, Africa World Airlines. First flight takes off 7:10 a.m. and then arrives in Takoradi, at 7:50 a.m. and then takes off in Takoradi at 7:50 a.m. and then arrives in Accra at 8:20 a.m.
Right.
Second flight takes off 12 p.m. in Accra and then arrives in Takoradi at 12:40 p.m. and then takes off in Takoradi at 1:10 p.m. and then gets to Accra at 1:50 p.m. And then the third flight, and that is the last flight for Accra to Takoradi, Africa World Airlines, takes off 4:30 p.m. in Accra and then arrives in Takoradi at 5:10 p.m. and then takes off in Takoradi at 5:40 p.m. and then gets to Accra at 6:20 p.m. So that is Africa World Airlines Accra to Takoradi. Right. Let's look at Accra to Tamale, the flight schedules for Africa World Airlines. So we have 4 flights available today for Africa World Airlines Accra to Tamale. First flight takes off 6:30 a.m. in Accra and then arrives in Tamale at 7:30 a.m. and then takes off in Tamale at 8 a.m. and then gets to Accra at 9 a.m. Second flight takes off in Accra at 9:30 a.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 10:30 a.m. and then takes off in Tamale at 11 a.m. and then gets to Accra at 12 p.m. Third flight takes off 12:30 p.m. in Accra and then arrives in Tamale at 1:30 p.m. Right. and then takes off in Tamale at 2 p.m. And then goes to Accra at 3 p.m. And then the last flight for Africa World Airlines Accra to Tamale takes off in Accra at 3:30 p.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 4:30 p.m. and then takes off in Tamale at 5 p.m. and then gets to Accra at 6 p.m. So, that is the flight schedules for today. Both Passion Air and then Africa World Airlines. Great.
Maybe I should just point out real quick. So we're streaming live on our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and X. At ZFMGH and then also on YouTube at Z Multimedia. So all the flight schedules will be posted on our social media platforms. You may want to check it from there. And they are also on our screens. If you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, then you can see it on your screens. But visit our social media platforms for all the flight schedules.
Okay, so let's look at the traffic situation in town today. When you look at MTN, Independence Avenue, that is from Sankara, right, towards Rage. Exactly. So from MTN to Rage roundabout, there's massive traffic over there at the moment as I speak. There's traffic over there, so we should take note of that. And then Adenta to Medina, Zongo Junction, there's also traffic over there at the moment. And then when you look at Jolu to Spanner, there's also traffic over there. Yeah. And then German to Malam Junction. Is there something that we can do to reduce this traffic? I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
Because it seems like it's a pending issue, and every day people are experiencing the same thing. And then I don't know if there's something that could be done about it. Well, maybe we need to probe into that, because every day it seems the same place and same situation. I don't know if we could do something. So German to Malam Junction too, there's a massive traffic over there at the moment as I speak. So that is the traffic situation in town at the moment. Yes, please. Okay. And then Sendufi has been officially sworn as the Secretary of Transport in US. Who? You know, yes, Sendufi. Yes, please. Okay. So he has been officially sworn into office as Secretary of Transport. And you know, US citizens are looking forward to see changes in their airspace, because you know over some time now they are experiencing some challenges in their airspace. So they are looking forward that as now the secretary is being sworn into office, and there will be some drastic changes in their airspace. And then a Bombardier CRJ 700 operating under American Airlines regional brand American Eagle crashed into a Potomac River near Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport after colliding with a U.S. military helicopter. So that is a tragic news as we speak. So I think they have launched investigations into it. So as to when we get more details about it, we will brief our listeners. So that's all for transport today. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
Right. Thank you very much, Solu, for bringing us all the transport updates. We're grateful that you came. Well, it's exactly 5 minutes to 8, and we will come to market trends very soon. But enjoy this spot of music. When we return, Emmanuel Boateng will join me, and then we break down some of the economic information that you need to know. Stay tuned.
Bring it.
Zed 101.9 FM.
What? On your mark, ready, set, let's go. Dance floor pro, I know, you know, I go psycho when my new joint hit. Just can't sit, gotta get jiggy with it. That's it, now honey, come ride. DKNY, all up in my eye. You got a Prada bag with a lot of stuff in it. Give it to your friend, let's spin. Everybody looking at me, glancing a kid. Wishing they was dancing a jig here with this handsome kid. Sick a cigar right from Cuba. I just bite it, it's for the look, I don't light it. Ill way to ammo on the hand, stay on play. Give it up, jiggy, make it feel like foreplay. Yo, my cardio is infinite. Big Willie style's all in it. Getting jiggy with it. Getting jiggy with it. Getting jiggy with it. Getting jiggy with it. What? You on the ball with your kid? Watch your step, you might fall trying to do what I did. Mama's I'ma come close side in the middle of the club with the rubber dub. No love for the haters, man, cause I got floor seats at the Lakers. See me on the 50-yard line with the Raiders. Met Ali, he told me I'm the greatest. I got the fever for the flavor of a crowd pleaser. DJ play another from the president's Your Highness. Only bad chicks riding my whip. South to the west, to the east, to the north. Bump my hits and watch them go off and get shit sure. And you don't stop in the winter order. Summertime. I makes it high, getting jiggy with them. Getting jiggy with it. Getting jiggy with it. Getting jiggy with it. 850 IS if you need a lift. Who's the kid in the drop? Who else? Will Smith. Living that life, some consider a myth. Rock from South Street to 125th. Women used to tease me, give it to me now nice and easy. Since I moved up like George and Wheezy, cream to the maximum, I'll be axing them. Would you like to bounce with the brother that's platinum? Never see Will attacking them. Rather play ball with Shaq and them, flatten them. Like getting, thought I took a spell, but I didn't. Trust the lady of my life, she hitting. Hit her with a drop top, with the ribbon. Crib for my mom on the outskirts of Philly. You trying to flex on me? Don't be silly. Getting jiggy with it. Getting jiggy with it. Getting jiggy with it. Getting jiggy with it.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Zed 101.9 FM. Zed 101.9 FM.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
FM.
Well, you're still tuned into Business Breakfast on Zed. Now, Ghana's biggest water park is now here, and that is the Marina Water Park. It's a new aquatic water and adventurous. It's a new water and adventurous water park for fun and leisure. It boasts of all the amazing water sports anyone can dream of, from adults to children. Now, this new aquatic experience promises nothing but premium fun with the diverse attractions. It's located at Lakeside Marina Park and opens every weekend, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturdays and 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Sundays. And they are also open on all public holidays. Bookings are available for schools, churches, corporate institutions, and any other organization that wishes to have a team bonding moment and a great time. You can call them on 020 477 5044, 020 477 5044, or 0508 598 948, 0508 598 948 for more information. You can as well follow them on social media at Lakeside Marina Park, or visit www.lakesidemarinapark.com. Yes, so make sure you visit there this weekend and have some time with your family or your colleagues. All right, now time for market trends, and Emmanuel Boateng is over the phone lines, ready to speak to us. Ima, good morning.
Good morning, Raphael.
Ima, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well too. Looks like you're in high spirits this morning.
Yeah, God has been good. So we appreciate God for life.
We are grateful. We are grateful to Him. All right, today I want us to talk on financial planning. But just before that, the government of Ghana has secured $2.8 billion debt relief. And I think that's some good news. Maybe you may want to comment on that before we get into what we have to talk about today.
Well, yeah, that's good news to the extent that as we're analyzing our debt situation in the past days, you would note that this debt relief is going to help bring the level of debt unsustainability down. And so we are not going to be in a state of debt overhang such that we may not be able to commit funds to some developmental projects. And so this is in the right direction. It's a good step. I think the negotiations began with the past government and have been completed now. It gives government space to be able to invest properly into the economy. My only prayer and hope is that we would stay committed to the Memorandum of Understanding. We would stay committed to the project we want to commit to, and we will be mindful and careful of what external debt to go in for going forward, so that we don't put Ghana in such a situation. And so automatically, the expectation is that this is going to bring our debt down, our debt to GDP ratio down. We expect our GDP to rise and further reduce our debt to GDP ratio. And so it's a good news, and I'm sure the entire country is happy about it.
Right. Now, this morning on our news review segment, we were talking about this briefly, and I was raising the point that we should still look at how to raise revenue internally, so that we can stop putting pressure on other countries and also going for debt reliefs and all of that. What are your thoughts on that? And the point I raised really was that our informal sector is one of the areas that we haven't really paid attention to. But if we're able to pay attention to that sector, we'll be able to raise a lot of money or a lot of revenue to be able to show up some of these things that we are depending on external creditors for.
Okay. I understand your point. It's a very fair point. Ghana has a relationship with the rest of the world, and the channels through which it comes includes trade, includes foreign direct investments, among other things, and external debt, of course. And so for you to make the point that if we don't go in for external debt from them, our vulnerability would reduce, is true, but partly true, because there is, I have said it time without number, that debt in itself is not a bad thing. debt is only bad in bad times. It's not bad in good times, and I would explain. If you go in for debt and you use it for what you are intended to use it for, and it's giving you the returns that is expected such that you'll be able to pay off or pay down on your debt, then it's a good thing for you. But in bad times where there are crises and all of that, and you're not able to deliver on what the debt was intended for, then it becomes a bad story for you. So that in itself is not a bad thing. But I agree with you to the extent that what we should be doing should be to look within and look at our local economy, grow it. Yeah. As for the informal sector, some work needs to go on there. We don't know what the value of the informal sector is and what they may be able to deliver. And so some work needs to go in there because then they would contribute to internally generated funds vis-a-vis corporate income tax and what have you.
Right.
So we are going to earn some money from there. So some work must go in there. But especially, government should focus on creating that enabling environment that will help businesses to grow, businesses to boom, the profit levels of businesses to rise. And then that will contribute to the entire national economic output. And so that is very, very important. So let's look at homegrown solutions for our homegrown challenges and reduce our vulnerability to the rest of the world. So I agree with you to that extent, just that debt in itself is not a bad thing because we have developed economies with high levels of debt, but they have the capacity to produce to support it. And so it doesn't become so much of a challenge. And I think we need to look at a blend of both.
Right, very, very important. And I like the fact that you also allude to the same things that I'm trying to point out. Now, this morning I want us to talk about financial planning for households. All right. A lot of households don't plan their finances, and it tends to affect them. And I think it's very important that we have this conversation this morning, just so that we can help people that need to know some of these things. All right. And so maybe we should start from the biggest financial challenges that are faced by middle and low income countries. Low and middle income households in Ghana. What are some of the biggest financial challenges that they face?
Right. So financial planning to begin with has to do with individuals and households setting financial goals and creating a strategy to achieve it. It's as basic and as simple as that. Just as you do not expect a tree to grow by itself when you plant a seed, or you don't expect that a seed will automatically become a tree because you've planted the seed in the soil. It is the same way that you need to have a plan for your financial goals, your financial aspirations. You need a clear-cut plan, and you need a strategy to be able to implement it. Other than that, you would live from hand to mouth. You would live an unplanned life, and you'll not be able to take feedback and monitor your progress.
Right.
As someone has said, an unexamined life is not worth living. And this morning, I want to build that context, that until you plan for your life in terms of your financial goals, in terms of your financial objectives, you would not be able to meet certain targets. In fact, you would not know whether or not after work, after pension, what is out there for you. You will have no idea of that. And that becomes a crucial thing for households and individuals, especially for those of us who may not be at the upper tier of life. We don't have all that it takes. Now, your motivation is important, and that is why I find your question very relevant. That what are the biggest challenges that households face in Ghana? One is irregular income. Right. Irregular income. You and I would know that a lot of people in Ghana do not have a regular source of income. And that in itself is a challenge for financial planning. Right. Because you don't know what to expect at every point in time. And maybe let me couple that, let me add limited financial resources or financial constraints to it. So irregular flow of income in addition to limited financial resources or financial flow of income. That has been a challenge as many people are engaged in informal work and they have changing, variating or fluctuating levels of income. And so once your income level is not constant over time, it becomes difficult to predict, to forecast, and to make plans. And that has been one of the major challenges. Second will be limited financial literacy. I have been a keen advocate for financial literacy, that this should be taught in schools. We should not finish school not knowing what financial literacy is all about, what savings is about, what investment is about, among other things. A lot of us leave school, I mean basic school, senior high school, and even in the university, not having any financial literacy knowledge. And that comes to affect us, because what you don't have knowledge about, it becomes difficult to practice. It becomes difficult to implement. Even those with knowledge about them are struggling their way through them. How much more those without knowledge at all? And another issue will be high dependency burdens, high dependency ratios. A lot of households have a lot of people to take care of. A lot of people who are doing well in life have a lot of people who are depending on them. And so it becomes difficult to allocate funds into financial goals and objectives. Then we would also have to talk to access to financial services. Reaching formal banking institutions can sometimes be difficult. And so it becomes a mainstream challenge for households and individuals to have a serious financial plan. And then unexpected expenses. We know this. Healthcare emergencies, funerals, wedding expenses, they all disrupt your financial stability. And then I want to add inflation, almighty inflation. It erodes the value of people's income. People's real wage falls as a result of inflation. And so that also becomes a challenge for financial planning.
Right. Okay, Ima, let's also talk about why or how can someone with irregular income create a budget? Because you mentioned that as one of the challenges. How can somebody, I don't have a regular income. What I get comes in once in a while. How can I create a budget?
Thank you. I know that has been a question lots of people have been asking. And some of the assets were excuses that a lot of people give for their inability to have a financial plan, save and invest towards the future. The first thing you need to do fundamentally is to track your expenses and your income. You need to record all those irregular income and your spending for a few months to understand your cash flow. It's irregular, but try and normalize or regularize it. Record how much you are earning on the irregular basis. Record it. I earned this amount, I earned this amount. Put it down on paper or in an Excel. In addition to that, what you use the money for in terms of your expenditure, record it. At every point in time, then you can slice everything into periods, maybe a month, maybe a quarter, to understand how much money you were able to get and look at the trend over time. You would notice how much you are spending on various items. You will notice how much you are earning at the end of every month, at the end of every quarter, or on the average, how much you earned. Then based on that, you are able to build a certain system, a certain data point where you know in every month, say I earn 5,000 to 10,000. In every month, I spend 2,000 on food, I spend 1,000 on this, I spend this on this. Then now, because you've normalized the data, you've regularized the data, you are able to make forecasts because on the average, you know how much you are going to earn in the month and how much you spend on various items. Important ones, you plan for them and you see how you can allocate some funds to savings, investments, and retirement benefits.
Right. Now, you also mentioned that people are not financially literate. Maybe we can help our listeners on some of those things. Now, personally, I didn't really get somebody telling me growing up. I didn't get somebody telling me that you have to save. And so everything I got was spent on things that I wanted at that time. All right. Yeah. Now, how can... Say again?
Hand to mouth.
Exactly. And that was how I grew up. And it affected me for a long time. Now I'm doing my best, small. But what are some effective saving strategies for low-income earners?
Right. Low-income earners, there are many ways you can save. You know, there is a principle or a canon in the Bible that is applicable in this area. There was a parable, or there is a parable, where the master gave talents to servants. To one he gave 5, to the other 2, and to the last 1. And the master came back after many years. I mean, when the master came back, the one with 5 had doubled what he was given. The one with 2 had doubled it.
Right.
But the one with 1 hid his talent and couldn't double it. Raphael, what I want us to appreciate in this principle is the fact that the one who doubled theirs, the ones who doubled theirs, they were given the same commendation. Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over little, and I'll make you faithful over more. Faithfulness to the little we have is important. Some people say, oh, I don't earn a lot of money, and so I can't save. I just earn a meager salary. My salary is very small. How do you expect me to save? Only food, transportation. It's taking everything. Friends, I understand that. I understand our daily pressing needs and necessities. I understand that. But until you are able to make faithful commitments in the little that you are earning, friends, you would not be able to make commitment when you earn much. Trust me, your obligations, financial burdens will surge, would increase when you earn more.
Right.
At the level you are, I think that your burdens are to the extent that you can. And as your abilities increase, as how much you earn increases, your burdens will grow. Ask those who earn more, and they'll tell you they have a lot more burdens than you do.
Right.
Unless someone who doesn't want to help other people. Otherwise, you would notice that your burdens would grow. And so the argument or the excuse that I earn little, and so I'm not able to save, is not something we should entertain. It's not a place we should find ourselves. If you earn as little as 1,000 cedis, as little as 500 cedis, as little as 2,000 cedis, as little as 5,000 cedis, I think I've gone beyond little.
Oh no, flow.
I should flow.
Yeah, give me some value.
You should be able to set some money aside. So look at all you have to expend on and see investing and saving as a key component of that. If in every month you want to save 5% of how much you earn, 10% of how much you earn, plan for it. So that whatever you earn, you know 10% is not for you. It is 90% that is for you.
Right.
You know 20% is not for you. It is the 80 that is left that is for you. And then with that mindset, you structure your life in accordance with your needs.
Right.
And to your question, Raphael, I just wanted to create this background so that everyone will get it. Everyone will understand what really we mean. So that the excuse that I earn little and so I cannot save, I earn little and so I cannot invest, we deal with it. Some of us, we have money on our mobile money. Mobile money platforms now give us the option to save. There is an option for you to have a certain kind of standing order on your mobile money account, a certain kind of instruction you give to mobile money to make daily deductions of a certain amount from your account.
Really?
Yes, there is that option there. I think on MTN it is called pensions and investments. You just have to subscribe to it. And on this, you don't have money, they don't deduct. The issue is with the discipline. It is not about you saving 10 cedis today and coming back 3 months later. Do you remember at the start of the year there was something I said, and in fact put on my status? And I said that if you can save 28 cedis a day, you have more than 10,000 Ghana cedis in your account at the end of the year. Today is the 30th of January. If you were saving 28 cedis a day, you should have about 840 cedis. If you save 28 cedis a day for 365 days, you would have 10,220 cedis. The little savings matter. And maybe you want to save in a month 840 cedis is what you need to put aside at the end of every month. It may not be possible for you who earn 1,000 cedis 2,000 cedis and maybe 2,500 or 3,000 cedis. But you can look at what you can, even if it is 10 cedis a day. Even if it is 10 cedis a day.
Right.
You have some 3,650 cedis at the end of the year. And that is good news.
Right.
Discipline is important. So that when you start earning 10,000 cedis, 20,000 cedis, you know you don't have any problem setting aside 1,000 or 2,000 cedis every month.
Right.
I don't know if you can follow.
Yeah.
So the little matters. The little matters. You can get, there is this thing that we used to do while we were kids, and I think some of us still do even at this age. We call it susu.
Yes, susu.
Susu is important. You can be setting aside some coins and some balance that you get for buying things and all into a certain safe box.
Right.
You just put it in it and have a plan that I'm going to open this safe at the end of a year, at the end of 2 years, at the end of 3 years. And at the end of 2 and 3 years, I want to earn this amount of money. And so you are committed and you know exactly what you are doing. The little matters. Then mutual funds are important because I'm speaking to a wide range of people. Some can save or invest in mutual funds. It's simply food money from other investors for diversified investments. And so the money is invested into other places, but it's food funds from different people and their interests. These are interest-bearing funds, and so you get some interest on them.
Right.
Savings accounts with higher interest, you can go in for that. Compare the rates that are being offered by different banks and choose the one that is most attractive. And attractive here would mean offering the best interest at the same level of risk. That is important. I think that, Raphael, these are some of the basic things I'll talk about. I don't want to go too much. But basically, the principle is the discipline. Every day, set aside something. Every single day, make sure you are setting aside something.
Right.
If it is a CD, if it is 10 CDs, 5 CDs, you set it aside. And it will accumulate into something big.
Okay.
It will grow.
Right. Ima, let's also move to investments. Are there some investment options available for middle or low income or middle and low income households? Are there some investment options for them?
Yeah, there are. I spoke about the mutual fund. And of course, in Ghana, the most popular is the government treasury bill. It's relatively safe and accessible. At present, it's doing about 28 to 30% of interest. That is also there. It's good for you. Some savings accounts, fixed deposits with the bank. Just engage banks you save in and try and understand what they are offering and see how it aligns with your goals. Is that okay? So basically, these are the ones that I would want to touch on. I don't want to speak about risky ones because the standard finance literature tells us investors are risk averse or risk neutral.
Right.
So let's not get into the risky ones.
All right. So let's also talk about how households can protect themselves against financial shocks. How can they do that?
Right. Financial shocks are things that come up every now and then. And so, when I was growing up, someone told me something that has stayed with me even after that. If you do not prepare for eternity before pension, you would suffer when your pension comes. There are evil days. Is that okay? Evil days are going to come. And one, you need an emergency fund. Aim for a 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a readily accessible account. Emergency fund. If for the next 3 to 6 months, at a certain level, you are not going to work, you are not going to get an inflow, you have enough cushion, enough reservoir to take care of you. So you need an emergency fund because emergencies do come up. Funeral expenses, weddings, naming ceremonies, helping other people, and all. Some emergencies will come, and I'm sure anyone listening to me knows the kind of emergencies they face. So you need a fund for that. Set aside some money into that fund so that in times of unplanned expenditure, you use such money to take care of them. Savings accounts, you need that. But maybe before that, let me even talk about insurance. Insurance is key. And the data tells us insurance among Ghanaians is on the low. A lot more people do not have money in insurance, but you need insurance. Health insurance, life insurance, property insurance, motor insurance, among others. You need insurance. You need insurance against a lot of things, against theft, against the burning of your property and all of that. You need it so that you will not have to allocate your hard-earned money to take care of these things when they happen. Once you've insured against them, in cases where they happen, then you can fall on insurance to take care of them. Social networks, they are also very important. Some people don't have friends, they don't have some social networks that they can follow, family and the community who can support you in times of you need some social environment around you. Fact that I want to get money. Oh, bro, Charlie, can you help me with things like that? I'm not saying go and beg people for money. So that's not me. Yes. I'm not saying that don't work, be lazy, and every day when you wake up, then you call this person, can you send me 50? You call this person, can you send me 100? You don't know. That one is unacceptable. To work hard. But you know, the times when you pick up, you need a certain community around. You need a certain community. You need friends.
Right.
Friends, social friends, good friends who understand society, the need to help one another. But that in times of difficulty, you can follow these friends. Then you need to diversify your portfolio. As a popular saying, you don't put your eggs in one basket. All your eggs not be in one basket. Spread your profits and investments across multiple assets and investments.
Right.
I want to.
Hello?
Yes. Okay, I want to.
Okay, I think the line is breaking. That's why. But anyway, I think we can still manage. Let's do probably one more question that I want to ask you before we go, because we are already behind time. Now, I want you to talk on planning for retirement. You are speaking about financial literacy already, and so I don't want us to go into that. But how can families plan for retirement with limited income?
Certainly. I cannot marry. Start planning for your retirement. Yes. If at this point you are 16, 15, 14, 17, 19, 20, 21, imagine that you start planning for your retirement at a very early age. What that will mean is that you have a lot of time to commit to retirement, and the dividends you will enjoy it once you start your retirement. And so starting, if you've not started, as you are listening to me start today, start planning, not just planning, sitting down to planning, start committing money for your retirement today. Don't depend on what your employers are giving you. That is the requirement of the law. Anyone that depends on the strength of the law, I don't want to sound doomsman, but you cannot depend on the strength of the law. The strength of the law offers the basic message, and you cannot depend on that. Explore other retirement funds and commit money that in addition to what you express yourself, you are paid your pension. Is that okay?
Right.
So don't depend on national pension scheme, social security that your employers are paying. Yourself have another pension scheme and contribute to that. Don't just depend, I work with besides, how much are you earning there? We know how much that's calculated. And so we can put it up to how the employers are paying. And you know that amount to let that figure. If you come to it, then how much will be earning? Maybe 1,500, 2,000 a month. And you know, in the effect of inflation, that amount you'll be earning during your retirement will be nothing to write home about. And so start early, bring in, and start today. Don't say I'm waiting to get to work before. No. Start early. And when you are working, don't depend on the strength of the law. That is what the law provides for everyone. And it makes all of us good level. And I think you want to go to another level. Is that okay?
Right. And I like the fact that you say we should start early. Now,
start today. Start today. Start right now.
Right.
That's right.
There's a saying that the best time to start was yesterday. The second best time to start is today or so. I mean, something like that. Okay. I'm not too sure if I can remember, but the import of that is to start today and start early. And I like the fact that you say that. Iman, we still have some time before we get into our conversation with our expert guest on the power of relationships, how building customer relationships and even employee relations can fuel your business to higher heights. Now, let's talk a bit on the role of debt. Now, you have advocated that debt is not in itself wrong. I want us to talk on that a bit. What role does debt play in the finances of low and middle income households? Hello?
Debt provides leverage. Are we together?
Yes.
Good. It's like a double-edged sword. It can be helpful for emergencies or investments, but can also lead to indebtedness. That is what I mean by it's like a double-edged sword. It can be opposing for you or defending you. I mean, it can be opposing or it can be defending. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Either you are with it or you are defending it. It depends on how you deploy debt in your life for the family.
Right.
That can be helpful in times of emergencies. However, if you don't manage your debt situation well, it can lead to over-indebtedness. And we've seen it. It's not far-fetched. We've seen it with our country, Ghana. And it's also something that happens at the household level. See, I know most of us can imagine and remember the times where you'll be home and your mom will say, if this person comes, tell her I'm not around. Rafael, are you with me?
Yes. Yes, I'm with you.
Have you heard such a thing before?
Yeah.
It's the impact of debt. Don't borrow too much such that you become debt yourself.
Right.
Don't borrow too much. And don't borrow what you can pay back. I don't understand. You know you earn, say, 2,000 cedis a month, and you are borrowing 10,000 cedis, and you are saying you pay it in 1 month. Raphael.
God will do a miracle.
God will do a miracle. Yes, I'm not saying God. I mean, I'm one of the people who have benefited from the miracles of God. But what is this? Don't be it is debt too. It is debt. Don't be overambitious with debt. And any fact are going to be debt or loan. Don't go for loan to spend on something that cannot generate income for that loan. You are going for loan to buy. Hey, let me move. I think I've said this, but often rely on friends and family for support. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Friends and family. And when you get support from your friends and your family, and you promise to pay back on time. Pay back on time.
Service.
There is a saying to wait. The faith that we give when we borrow money is not the same faith and attitude or posture that we should when it's time to pay. See, a lot of people are like that. When they are coming to borrow money, they borrow with a very good faith and nice faith. When it's time to pay back, then it's like not an issue with the person they borrow with. Yes, like the person becomes a bad person all of a sudden. But that is wrong. That is wrong. So wrong. So depend on your family, depend on friends, but in situations where you promise to pay back, friends, pay back on time. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Seek advice. Seek advice. So that plays a crucial role. But seek advice before you go in. That's why there are experts like myself. You can seek advice from us. You want to go in for debt, you need to seek advice. Because sometimes you may think it's the right thing to do. Yes, it may be the wrong move. It may be a
Right.
you need financial advice to let you know how to work.
Right. Let's end with how technology can be leveraged for financial planning. How can how can people leverage technology?
We are bringing in tech at this point.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Tech.
Finance institutions offer basic financial literacy programs. You have phones. A lot of you don't use your phones for the right thing. Use it to learn some financial literacy stuff. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So you can get some good advice. You can learn something on financial planning and all of that using your phones, your computers. Learn about it. Don't just use your phones for the things you use them for. Include this as well. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And I want to, at this point, okay, banks, NGOs, community organizations, you can provide training and support on budgeting, saving, and investment to individuals, to families, and what have you, by the use of technology. So they don't have to meet all of them at a certain people to be able to do that. It could be a Zoom form, Google Meet. I mean, so many platforms that can be used so that you help families.
Right.
To know how to save, where to input the bank, especially, you know what they are offering, you know your product, and you know your customers. You can pull your customers together. In fact, you know the income levels of your customers because they are paid 3 days time. And so you know, and you would be able to help them together, advise them to the training, support programs, let them know what they can do with their money and how they can leverage their income to be able to show themselves against shocks that they can in the future.
Right. Ima, thank you very much for joining me this morning. I mean, you've given us a lot of value, and I hope that our listeners, our people who are listening to us this morning will be able to apply some of these principles that you talk about and better their financial lives. But we are grateful.
You're welcome. Thank you, too.
All right. Okay. This is still Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Nitrebi Hammond. And very soon we are going to go into a roundtable discussion. I have an expert that is going to talk to us about how strong connections can drive business success. And you don't want to miss that conversation. We're going to take a short musical interlude. When we return, my guest will join me over the phone lines for this all-important conversation. Stay tuned.
Here we go, y'all. Casa Records. Check it out. Mr. Right. All the people in the place. You know what I'm saying? Put your hands in the air. That's right. Raise your rocks on. Keep it on. All the girls out there, keep it on. Everybody out there.
101.9 FM.
Ready, rock, stone. Check it out, y'all. You don't stop. Keep it on. Ready, rock, stone. Keep your eyes on the
myself clear? Yeah. Do I make myself clear? Yeah. Then clap your hands like there was a million mosquitoes in here. Jump like you was some crazy act right here. Party people, show me how you feeling back there. Do you want to party boogie? Then get out your chair. The big the heavy became the shake of rare. Call me whatever you want, but don't call me Zed. Black Musketeer, I swear, I do declare this year definitely my year. So cheer, but that's all the boy really wanna hear. But beware, no fear. I see the jealousy everywhere. I work for myself, so you can't tell me nothing. Now who's laughing? I told you the plan, kid. You thought I was bluffing. Never say die till the bones are right. I dropped one album, now everybody rapping it. Opposition taking it, got your mother creeping it. I got the youth backing it. Got the feeling when I'm talking. Don't care if you drive a truck, see glass on you walking. Respect yourself, cause I'm watching. Cause my style is shocking. Got the clock ticking. Yo, tell me, I be the #1 secret weapon. In Africa, I'm open for discussions. Now tell me.
101.9 FM.
It's your lifestyle, nurture, and business radio.
superstition. Beast the mystical fear and whatever the mission. Forget the World Cup, check out your conditions. Economical competition before the dribbling. The biggest crime in Africa, skin bleaching. Jericho, baby, now that's a sinning. Jesus Christ was a bibini, what I believe in. Make I free my mind this morning, afternoon, and evening. I don't know what time it will be when you get to listen. Wear your K socks, even when you're kissing. Cause it wets and what, anything could. Big disease with a small name is frightening. Sexual shoe size, not physical attraction. Don't wanna be nobody napkin. If you help in the making of the song, then it's you that I'm thanking. I don't care who you are, if you be a superstar. Drunk, rock to rock, don't catch a blasting. Yo, baby, I'm burning. Plus I'm feeling very, very African. Where was you when we was we? Way before I started rapping the key. Backbush, muscle T, guaranteed. Good times, way before Glance was Maharani. But if you talk big, you had to back it with money. Randy P, I was doing a DJ Papa Chappie, and everything was fine. See, yo, sometimes I sit back and try to reminisce. Shows like a sofa dazzle, we all miss. Do I make myself clear, G? Do I make myself clear?
101.9 FM. Zed 101.9 FM.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio. Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Zed 101.9 FM.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio. It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Well, this is still Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Ni Trebi Hammond. And very soon we're going to go into our roundtable discussion, and we'll be speaking to a man that I have come to love, and I believe that you would enjoy him too. But just before that, love is in the air here on Zed 101.9 FM. I want to implore you to join us for the Love A to Z, your ultimate guide to love and relationships. Now, from A to Z, explore everything from attraction, bonding, commitment, and more. And you can tune in every weekday to Business Breakfast on Zed, the brighter side. And now this promotion, of course, you can get interactive with us on our social media outlets as well as our on-air programs, and you stand a chance of winning amazing giveaways from our able sponsors this week and then the next and then the one after. You will enjoy this so much from 29th, that started yesterday, through to 14th of February. We can get interactive on our social media pages at ZFMGH on Instagram, Facebook, and X, ZFMGH. This Valentine, we're making your everyday unforgettable. Love A to Z is sponsored by Doman Foods, Le Beirut Restaurant, and Zillow Beauty Clinic, as well as Baguette Sub Restaurant. All right. So let's get into our conversation. This morning we're speaking to Professor Gabriel Ishen, and we're talking about how strong connections can drive business success. Now, relationships are the backbone of every thriving business. And in this conversation, we'll sit down with Professor Gabriel Ishen to uncover how meaningful connections, both with customers and within teams, can make or break a business. We're going to explore the art of building trust, fostering loyalty, and making memorable customer experiences that drive long-term success. Beyond customer interactions, we will dive into the critical role of strong internal relationships, emphasizing teamwork, communication, and emotional intelligence in delivering exceptional services. So whether you're a business owner, customer service professional, or a leader, this discussion will equip you with the strategies to cultivate powerful relationships that fuel growth, retention, and a winning business culture. Now, Professor is over the phone lines. Just so you know, Professor Gabriel Ishen is a technical advisor of the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations. He holds a BSc from KNUST and an MBA and PhD from University of Leicester in the UK. He was a senior lecturer and the coordinator for tourism program in the geography department of KNUST, and he specializes in marketing, tourism, entrepreneurship, ecotourism, and green issues in hotels. He's also a performing poet and a motivational speaker. This morning, he joins us over the phone lines for this all-important conversation on how you can make sure that your connections, you can build strong connections that will drive your business success. Prof, good morning.
Good morning. How are we?
Yeah.
I hope they are doing great.
Yes, I believe that every one of us is doing great. And I hope you're doing great yourself.
Yes.
All right.
Super. That is great.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So this morning we're talking about relationships and how they can drive business success. And so maybe just for some foundations, why is relationship building so critical in customer service, and how does it impact business success?
Thank you very much again, and it's nice to come on Zed Radio, one of the best in the country. The whole cosmos, the whole human entity, social interactions and everything that you see are forms of systems. And systems have got subsystems. And these are the connections or the channels that enable that particular system to thrive. And the relationship is one of those strong connections that we need to build first from within ourselves and within the system in which we are part of. And company is one of the systems with its personal satisfaction and communal demands as well. Which means that when we are talking about relationship, we are actually talking about the veins, the connection of society. And it can extend to companies, and any other system that you can talk about. That is why we need to understand what is relationship. And as you know, the very end of it is ship, the word ship itself. And ship is a form of transport.
Right.
We build them for a purpose. So there cannot be a relationship without a mandate or it can only survive when it is metricable. In other words, when it nourishes itself in a way that all the entities that are involved in it benefit one way or the other. That is how a relationship thrives. And we all need that relationship. So, in terms of a company, we know that company is a system because it has got input and output. The input comes from suppliers, customers, people you relate with, and all that. Then, through your internal mechanisms, you're able to come up with the output, which, of course, may be the product or service that you bring out. The beautiful thing is that along the value chain, the company must ensure that whichever entity or element that it comes in contact with, the company leaves a lasting impression, an impression that is mutual, that is really top-notch, exceptional, lasting, and generating loyalty. And that is what relationship is. So relationship is at the very core of the survival of society, of which we as individuals make up the society. And our activities, such as companies, are part of it.
Right. Doc, Prof. What are some practical ways businesses can foster loyalty? Because you mentioned loyalty. How can businesses foster loyalty and trust with their customers?
Thanks. Loyalty is a big word, and sometimes we tackle it really. Because people talk about loyalty, but what actually engenders loyalty? We need to unpack it. And to unpack loyalty, we need to know why must we even be thinking about loyalty? Because, and I'm going to take this one a bit so that we get to know this from the perspective of marketing. When businesses started, they started first of all with production, where people come out with inventions, okay?
Yeah.
And then the inventions, they come out with the products. And because they have the patents and all that, what they introduce is what the customer or the customers have to accept because they got the invention. Then came a time that they realized that, no, it's not all about the availability and the acceptability, but we need a product that is of quality. That's why we move from the production orientation to the product orientation of creating relationship and loyalty with customers. Initially, we were thinking that if we can produce anything, since we got a machine and we can produce anything, then the customer will love us. Okay? So you are the restaurant business and you are the only one doing your work. So your job is just to produce and produce because you are the only one in town. Then we moved to quality, where we said, no, if we do the right thing, we may be in Kopovia or Kumasi, Akade. Once you are doing that thing right, people will come all the way to Kumasi to come and buy it. So, for example, Kente is a big thing. So people would like to go to Bombay area in Kumasi because they think they'll get authentic Kente, isn't it? They are operating more on the product orientation, which is based on quality. And what is quality? Quality is freedom from defects. In other words, the very value of the product is such that it meets your expectation.
Right.
So from the product orientation, we also realize that if you are eating the best shawarma every day, a time will come we will not even like shawarma or jollof, you name it. So we move to the selling orientation, where we say, oh, it doesn't really matter the quality of the product per se. If you can get the right sales people with the gift of gab, eloquent, they're able to really get, people to buy ice in Greenland or Iceland. Then those are the guys who are looking for, people with the plasticity of the lips and the ability to be able to get, people to really buy stuff before they can really get to understand what they are buying for.
Right.
Then that is the selling division. But we realized that at the time that was also not working. And that is where marketing actually started, the market orientation or the customer orientation, where we said that businesses must start with the needs of the people. And that is where some buzzwords like, phrases like the customer is always right, the customer first and all that came from the marketing orientation or the customer orientation, which says that start with the needs of the customer. And what do we mean by the needs of the customer? A need is a state of felt deprivation. In other words, when you look at the Maslow hierarchy, okay? For example, we look at the physiological needs, talking about shelter, food, some even add sex. I don't want to get into that. But these are basic needs, okay, that we have. Right to the very apogee of it, where we have the self-actualization. Okay? Along this pyramid, we have needs dotted all along. And that is why our job as marketers, and anytime we talk about loyalty, we should know along the pyramid what kind of product or service we are delivering that are able to delight our customers. Anytime customers come in contact with a product or a service, they are either satisfied, dissatisfied, or delighted. When they are delighted, that means that you have gone beyond their expectation, exceeded their expectation.
Right.
When they are dissatisfied, that means that the cognitive dissonance that they had before coming in contact with the product, you have blessed them with that negativity. When they are satisfied, that means that you have met their expectation.
Right.
When customers are dissatisfied, they go rampage like a mad cow, and they go telling another 15 to 20 more people. That's how dangerous it is for a business to be underperforming.
Right.
It affects the market share right away. But just so that we are intellectually, accurate, there's a last orientation, which is the societal orientation, which says that we don't need to only satisfy the customer. The customer is not always right because society must take precedence in the way we do business.
Right.
That's where we have the stakeholder theory and the shareholder theory, because quintessential business from the academic and the Ricardian perspective is more about wealth maximization and the wealth creation. So you create wealth and you maximize it. But sometimes in this process of creating wealth and maximizing it, for example, balance, okay? You are creating wealth and you want to make more money, but then you are affecting the environment, for example. When you are doing that, society frowns upon it because sustainable development is very much part of business now. And These are the frameworks in which we should actually address issues of loyalty and not to romanticize loyalty as something that is hanging there and we just go plug it.
Right.
We need to understand what do we do to really engender loyalty. And not just to treat it, but to also sustain it. And we do that by knowing what the customer wants, and also for it to be in tandem with the mission and the vision of the company, as well as having in the back of our minds environmental sustainability, societal sustainability, the well-being of people. That is why I always say that first things first, if we want to create loyalty, then we have to be a model of what? Being loyal. How can companies themselves be loyal? By not cutting corners, making sure that their quality is great. They have to also ensure that they are 4 Ps, and you all know the 4 Ps or the 7 Ps of marketing, the marketing mix that they put in place, the pricing strategy, the promotion, the product, you name it, the personnel, the physical ambience, the process, everything added up to it, the product itself. All of it must be done with the mindset that when the customer receives the service or encounter the service or the product, they are in a way delighted. And when customers are delighted, there is that likelihood that they are going to do repeat purchase or rebuy. Now, it costs 15 times more, according to Philip Kotler, to attract a new customer. So that's how beautiful it is that you must not lose opportunity. Any time a customer comes close to your product, you must endeavor as a company with all the systems you have put in place that you're able to get them ensorcelled, mesmerized, hypnotized, delighted to your product.
Right.
And when they know that you have their best welfare at hand, they will come to you always. And that is where relationship starts.
Right.
So relationship really is the pedestal of loyalty.
Right. Okay, Prof. Thank you. Thank you for those thoughts you just shared. Now, before we got into the conversation, there's a segment on the show we call Business Brief, and usually I would share something briefly before we have the conversation, and it's just to lead us into the conversation. And I shared the story of Starbucks. Now, Starbucks struggled with customer loyalty and all of that, and at a point they realized that the market was becoming too crowded, and customers had a lot of options, and so because of that they had to settle on trying to do to put in some strategies to build their customer loyalty. And one of the things that they did was to create a community where the customers could come for book readings and all of that, and that actually enhanced their work. I just say that to tease out the question that I'm coming to ask you. Now, some of the most inspiring business success stories stem from companies that have been able to transform their customer relations. Can you share a story of a business that significantly improved its customer relationships and saw some major growth as a result?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, even using the same Starbucks example, just to expatiate on it. You know, Starbucks, you just mention it, and what comes to mind right away is the coffee. But they realize that, listen, it's all about coffee. Because you can get coffee anywhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they actually started allowing people to even have their mini meetings in there, you know, and that created a bond between people from different workplaces and all that. So it was like an office away from office.
Mm.
Although they've been struggling according to current data, and some of the shops are closing down, it was also because they were aggressively trying to, expand their business.
Mm.
You see? And of course, business, Philip Kotler would say that the marketplace is moving at a nanosecond pace. The marketplace is commercial, it's full of dynamism, and even if you're the market leader, you always have to watch in your back, because somebody wants to take that position or your market share from you.
Right.
So Starbucks started selling some food as well instead of the coffee, trying to, leverage what they have to be able to become a more formidable brand. And even as they are holding up in some places, it's all about consolidating their position so that they don't spread themselves thin. The three main strategies of, according to Philip Kotler, of business strategies for surviving, according to Kotler, is the cost leadership. Then you have the niche, which is also the focus. Then in between, you have differentiation, okay? If you are trying to beat down the cost, and you yourself, you are also not able to differentiate yourself the more, then you get stuck in the middle. In other words, people get confused about you, whether you are for cost reduction or you are for superior products like money, okay?
Yeah.
And that's why the same principle happened to Toyota, because Toyota really, in the minds of people, in fact, when Toyota entered the U.S. market, they had a small car called Toyota. Toyota was more like the base now we have small cars and all that. They thought the Americans like big cars, so why not bring these small cars that they have in Asia, Korea and all that. But the Americans didn't really go for that car at the time. Although now there's an emerging market for, smaller cars, the solar and the, solar powered cars and the electric cars and all that. But that time, your pets really started. And to be able to really create a differentiated product or vehicle, that's where Lexus came.
Yeah.
So Lexus really was to, in a way, come to compete with BMW and Mercedes.
Right.
Because in the minds of people, what we call in marketing or in business, the evoked set. When you talk about luxury brands, Toyota was not there. Okay? So we need to always be aware of our initial strategies and to see whether the products or the service that we want to go into really is in tandem with the brand equity that we have built. For example, Coca-Cola, one time was tempted to go into clothing, okay? But it had to back down on that idea because it realized that its core competence was more into something like this, to do with if you want to go into water and all that. Like for example, Tropicana is owned by Pepsi, and they use that as a strategy to be able to, maybe sometimes like a bypass strategy to get more of resources to be able to compete in their field for the cash cow. So the cash cow market, if they want to compete, for example, Pepsi want to compete with cola, then they are able to use more resources that they've gotten from another, sometimes not so familiar, area of competition, but get resources from that to be able to compete well in their well-known domain. So the market is quite fluid, but you must always know what you're about so that you don't spread yourself thin. Remember, buyers have got their bargaining power. The buyer's bargaining power is also very important. And if you are not able to address the buyer's bargaining power well, ultimately it will affect your market share.
Right. Prof, let's also talk about businesses personalizing their customer interactions. Now, today we live in a world where customers crave personal attention, and businesses must find ways to connect with without crossing boundaries. How can businesses personalize their customer interactions without being intrusive?
It's a big thing. The era of AI and this high-tech proliferation is a big thing. But then as a business, if you play possum, you become a dinosaur. So you must always find novel ways, innovate, to be able to meet the demands of the market. You don't do that, you're going to be in trouble. So, for example, before the driveway for KFC and McDonald's, the fast food industry became, so somebody has to sit down and say, look, some people are so busy, they don't have time to come and sit in the restaurant or the place for even more than 10 minutes. In some of the places, they spend more than 5 minutes. They will not even pay. They will take their phone, they will not pay because you have delayed.
Right.
You see? So personalization of communication comes first from the type of product that you have or the service that they are rendering. Sometimes people forget the kind of business that they are in. And just because something is trendy doesn't mean that it is worthy for your business. You must know your business and how to operate. But in the era of digitization and the era of high power computerization of services, any business will be shooting themselves in the foot not to use some form of the digital approach to delivering on their services and products.
Right.
So it depends on the company. For example, if you are in a radio, you cannot stay away from social media, for example. Your social media approach must be that strong. Sometimes, too, some of the most useful inputs, for example, even from your panel members that come and all that, can be turned into some very useful short videos. Where on TikTok, you name it, all this, and could be very useful, approach to just getting these short messages across to people.
Right.
And by people contacting, watching these videos, they may even have access to come to the main platform of Zed and get to know your programs and what you are doing. And they even come on board and do business as well. So these are the things. It's just that we are looking for big things to happen, but sometimes the opportunities are just an inch away from our feet.
Right.
We need to, in the process of the high tech, to add the high touch. People love to hear from people. That's why the Ashantis will say, I call cloth. Cloth was used. I call gold. Gold was smooth. I call him, and human responded. And we the panties will say, one soul, one deeper. In other words, the human interaction, the woman as the fulcrum, the center of communication, can never be arbitrated. So as we go high tech, we have to go high soul, connecting with the souls of people by letting them know that we are in the same boat together, and we are doing business together. And in as much as some of the academic and the studying philosophy may pop up here and there because the business must survive financially, there is that social component to the businesses in a way that seeks their welfare.
Right.
And that seeks the betterment for everybody.
Right. Prof, That is very brilliant. It's 9:30. Sorry, no, not half. Sorry, 9:15, and this is Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Nietzsche B. Hammond. This morning we're talking to Professor Gabriel Ishen, and we are speaking on the power of relationships, how strong connections drive business success. You may want to join a conversation via WhatsApp on 0544321019. 0544321019, 0544321019. You can send in your questions or your comments, and we'll do well to read them for you. We're also live on our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and X at ZFMGH. Instagram, Facebook, and X at ZFMGH. And also on YouTube and TikTok, we are Z Multimedia. You could check us out and then drop a comment or a question, and we will do well to read it for Prof to answer if it's a question. Prof, let's go on in the conversation. Now, a lot more businesses are going digital, and I think you've spoken about that a little. Now, how can companies maintain a human touch in customer service in today's digital first world? Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. You know, you go to the chatbot and all that, they say, hey, if you cannot get the appropriate information here, this is our hotline. And then you can talk to a human being. The response must be one of empathetic concern and interest, and not one that is robotic. You see, your personality will tell on the phone or your interaction. So the people that are trained to be able to connect with the outside world, in other words, outside the company, must be so representative of the company, because they are the ambassadors of the company. That is why, for example, you go to the hotels and all that, at the front desk, they don't just select people who are just preachy, but people with some level of emotional and human intelligence. This ability helps them to be able to address various forms of emotions that the visitors, the customers exhibit when they come in there. So you will not take somebody who, for example, is she may be very pretty, if I'm just to use gender a bit here at the front desk, or the guy is very nice looking, but yet doesn't know how to keep themselves very nice in terms of even their grooming, how they talk, their body language, how they are able to assist people, These are very important things that we cannot ignore. I remember one time I was entering a shop and I was holding a big bag, and I was looking at one of the attendants in the shop, and he was still looking at me that I should, with all my hands occupied, that I should also manage and still open the door, for example. Because this demands that there's something slightly missing in terms of the person's being proactive towards the needs of customers. So I entered and I said, you could have helped me a bit. Next time, do help, because I may not even buy anything from here, but I can be an actual buyer later. But your behavior can put me off. Okay? Right. Whilst you are taking money from a company, people want to do minimum and expect the maximum. But it doesn't happen that way. If the coconut at the shore says that it was only going to be embedded in the sand, like the storm will topple it, but the coconut at the shore sends the roots right deep down into the soil. That's why it is able to bear sweet juice for all of us. In other words, you cannot be in a company and your roots are dancing with the sand, which is full of salt. You must go deep into the very soul of the company. And by this, I mean sharing in the 7 P's according to McKinsey, 7 P's, or even to make it just so, easy for understanding the core values of the company. It's like you go to all the secondary schools. I always say that if every Ghanaian is to embody their mottos of their schools, Ghana will be more than what we see today, because all our mottos are so great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every school has got some motto that is so nice. But did we go there to pick certificate, or the motto also really passed through it? That's the same thing we have to ask of the company. That are our employees being symbolic of the very values that we express? And how are they able to radiate that to the customers? When we do that, and be able to share in that value system, we will all, no matter our differences, because there will always be differences at the workplace. Most of the customer service we receive in Africa is a reflection of what is going on in our company. And so we get the system in the company working right. The customer service will just be an upper one.
Right.
It will be an appendix. But when we get systems right, the professionalism that is exhibited by the employees themselves, it will radiate, because you cannot give what you don't have. If people have not built within them the right self-esteem, the ability for them to be able to show initiative, to become entrepreneurial, to share in the vision of the company, and not just there expecting a paycheck just for the sake of it.
Right.
Then that company will try. Then the customers that encounter that company, they will be happy. They will be delighted. This is why they can see something different. And that difference is what put the crown on the head of a company.
Right. Prof, let's talk also on the strategies that people put in place, or businesses put in place for their customer relationship, which we call customer relationship strategies. Now, of course, not all customer relationship strategies work. And sometimes businesses unknowingly push customers away. What are the biggest mistakes businesses make when trying to build customer relationships?
One thing is that any relationship that is forced is going to plummet. It's called relationship. In other words, it is built. It is not forced, it is built. Now, you look at, for example, a lot of people have got in place many mechanisms for actually getting to know their customers well and how to serve them. For example, if you go to tourism sites, they may have the visitors comment book where people write the experiences there, which of course becomes something very useful for the managers there to be able to look at and see what they are doing right and what they are doing wrong and what they can build on and all that. Most of the times we have these feedback mechanisms in these companies. You can see them upstairs. They can, even online, they can, give you many platforms for people to talk about it. In the modern world, for example, if you are in tourism again, you go to TripAdvisor. and you go, you type, for example, I'm not going to mention any company because they've not paid you for that, but a company A, you go in there and they write something nice about them. You as a company can easily get to know what they are saying about you, isn't it? So company A in Accra, company B in Kumasi, Takrade, Tamale, you can always go online and find out what people are saying about you as a feedback, because the online presence and the users, they are increasing day by day. And sometimes when they are one-on-one with you, they may not have the boldness to be able to say that your toilet facilities are crap, okay? But when they are away and they are on the internet, they can say that. Then you do something about it. And you can even put a nice pictures after you have done that and put it down there and say, unfortunately, the time you came, we're working on it and all that, but this is the new facilities we got. You get it? So you are building a community. They call it ethnography. You know, ethnography means studying the people in real life. The citizens on the net are also creating their own societies and groups, and we need to be able to tap into that. The other one is the feed forward. We don't always need to get the feedback on our product or service. Sometimes we can preempt it and see what people can say about it before we actually even bring that product. So the feed forward strategy is also very important. Then we can also do the lost customer analysis to find out why we have lost some customers. We don't often do that, but we need to be able to find out why we have lost them, because then we will be able to get to know the reasons behind their decisions and how, if through constructivism we are able to come to terms that they may be right and we are wrong, then we take it from there. But we just can't say that if we are losing customers, we will not do anything about it. That's why market research is very important, for us to constantly be aware of where we are in terms of the mind share of the people or the customers. The mind share is as important as the market share, because the mind share tells us what they are even thinking about it, and it enables us to be able for us to craft, new strategies to be able to exceed their expectations.
Right, Doc. Sorry, Prof. I keep calling you Doc.
Don't worry, titles don't matter. What matters is action.
Right. Okay, so I want us to move to internal relationship. There are some things we'll talk about on customer relationship, but let's talk about internal team relationships. Now, of course, great customer service starts from within. And strong relationships between employees create a positive work culture that translates into better customer experiences. And when I shared on the Starbucks story, I think that's one of the things that I highlighted. Now, how do strong internal relationships among team members improve customer service? How do strong internal relationships among team members improve customer service?
Thank you very much. Let me give you this short story. It tells about, I think it's going to throw a bit of light on the question.
All right.
3 people go into the bush, they set up a trap, okay? One is 20 years, one is 30 years, one is 50 years. They catch a big antelope. They share the antelope, and one of them takes the hind leg, the front leg takes a big portion. What do you think the rest will feel? So the question here is that there must be equity, there must be fairness in the team. You get it?
Yeah.
Fairness ensures that the team members are happy.
Right.
And they have each other's back. Second point is that respect is very important. You cannot overlook respect, because respect is the amalgam the value you place on people or a person. How much value you place on a thing or a person determines the amount of respect that you give. And if you see every human being as a human being and as an image of God, the respect you have for yourself, you cannot measure less.
Right.
And share with the same person. So here is a fact which has always been placed in all the sacred books of the world. We should love our neighbor as we love ourselves. That is the crucible of respect, caring for others, and being there for others. When there's a team and we show that value of our humanity to each other, the team becomes stronger.
Right.
So respect is very important. The other item is responsibility. In a team, we must all know we are responsible to each other and the mandate that we have. If we leave the work on the shoulder of one person, the shoulder of that person will soon slant into oblivion, into complaining, into crying, into depression. So we need to be each other's help. We need to know that the success of the team is based on each one of us doing our bit. Because what? The sum of the individual output will always be greater than the sum of that one person's input. That is the essence of the teamwork. For us to know that together in the night, each one of us shining our star bright, will be able to lift heads to look at the constellation and the marvel of our individual output together, forming that vision. That is what we should do. Then the last one, which is the last of the three R's of sustainable relationship, is reciprocity.
Right.
We must know that one hand washes the other washes the other. When two work together, they can go further. So we must know when we look in the eyes of our friends, our colleagues, our workers, and we know with the empathetic spirit we should have, discern and know the panting of their soul, and render that needed service. In fact, there is a word I learned very early on in my life. I think I was about 11 years reading the Bible, and the word is sakar, S-U-C-C-O-U-R. And sakar is timely intervention. In a team, we shouldn't wait for one person to be falling down before we help.
Right.
And that's what Abishai did. Came to the aid of David and helped him to defeat the giant, which was about killing David. There was another giant which was about killing David in the Bible. It was David's guy, Abishai, who came. So we need the Abishais in the team, people who come and help. But everybody must be an Abishai in the team, actually. If we care about the team, then we must help each other. You see, helping each other shows that Nyansa means that together. The spiders can tie up the lion. It means that your expertise and my expertise can come in along the line to make all of us look good. A heart of competition is a heart that is trending on the road of depression. Because if your mind is all about competition, even somebody's cough will give you discomfort. So we need to be able to see that, this team, if I help this person, I'm actually helping myself. So reciprocity is very important. And we need the respect, the responsibility, and the reciprocity to ensure sustainable relationship.
Right. Let me just read this message that is coming through. Doc says that, hello Zed, this is Rasking. Okay, I'm embarking on a road trip to the breathtaking Abri Mountains, so my buddy Jamal and his brother-in-law gets me pumped with some electrifying tunes. Okay, Rasking will do that probably after the conversation. Now, Prof, let's also talk about one other thing that is very, very important, and that is the subject of leadership. How can leaders empower their workers or their employees or their team members to stay together?
Leadership is everything. Leadership is what makes the ship of relationship reach the destination. Who is a leader? A leader is a person who influences you for you to reach beyond yourself. A leader is a person that enables you to look beyond the shadows of your own self. A leader is a person that ignites something within you. A leader is a person that builds your faith and rekindles your hope. Lift up your eyes beyond the downdrams and the conundrums. A leader helps you to bring the sun so that the share better your soul can melt and flow in the directions that you need. A leader is a person that you see and you aspire to become, and even more. That is the beauty of a leader. Why? Because leadership is everything. And we need transformative leaders. By transformative leaders, we mean leaders that are able to let you think outside the box and sometimes think as if there is no box. Leaders of possibilities, of novel things. Leaders that are able to help you to re-engineer, to reset your mindset, to see, no matter which background that you have, the resplendent nature of your calling. They help you to stay resilient. They help you to know that if only you keep on keeping on, you will be a site of difference in that milieu of ordinariness. They help you to see that you matter in the world. They help you to know that today you may be suffering, but if only you keep on keeping on, tomorrow the story may be different. They let you know that resources matter, and you must use the resources you have today wisely in the journey of your calling. They help you get. They help you stay strong. They lift you up when you are down. They encourage you. And they also, because they care about you, they speak truth to you, sometimes so uncomfortable. But they know But if they don't, you will be in that comfort zone, and in that, your potentials will open. But they want you to bear fruit, and there are thousands, and there are thousands. So they will come to you and say, bear fruit. And how do you bear fruit? You must know your purpose. You must plan. You must prepare. In some of the cases, you must even become autodidactic. Practicing Kaizen, persistent improvement. Do not always wait to be told what to do. The river does not wait for the rain to tell it what to do. Immediately it rains into it, it knows what to do. So we must have self-initiative. We must break the inertia. We must show self-entrepreneurship. When we take care of problems, problems solved will take care of our needs too. So we need to be able to always be solution givers. And that's what leaders are about. They are looking at how we can, through the quagmire, the quandary, always come up with something that all of us will be proud of. That is a leader.
Right.
Leaders don't complain much. They know that the more we do complain, the more we put webs of the spiders in our way. So they always say, why don't you convert the complaint into the campaign of action? Why don't you train the brain, which is draining in complaining? So by this very nature of who a leader is, selflessness, openness, transparency, a mover of mountains, and even in their vulnerability, they show you that we are all human. But they never throw in the towel unless it is a bad time. They know when to retreat, not as act of cowardice, but rather as a strategy of building a renewal for eventual triumph. That is the beauty of who a leader is.
Right. Right. We are about 9:45, and this is Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Nitrevi Hammond. This morning, I'm having a conversation with Professor Gabriel Ishin, who is a professor in tourism and marketing management. And this morning, we're having this conversation on the subject of relationship, and we are asking questions around how businesses can be able to establish some strong connections to be able to drive business success. If you just tune in, you can join us on our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and X at ZFMGH. Instagram, Facebook, and X at ZFMGH. Or you can WhatsApp us on 0544321019. 0544321019. Prof, we're gradually coming to the end of our conversation. But okay. I want to know, I know feedbacks are very, very important in workplaces or in business. And I believe it's a very powerful tool for growth. But of course, many workplaces struggle with giving and receiving it constructively. How important is feedback, both giving and receiving, in strengthening team relationships?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You know, communication must always have the conduit for input and output. When you receive, you decode, you understand the very essence of the message. It is very important. One of the things that often really is a big issue is the issue of lack of understanding. And lack of understanding really is also a matter of the impatience with which we address issues because we don't listen. And listening demands discipline because as you keep quiet and you are receiving the message, whether verbally or non-verbally, some of the issues are going to be like a slap in your face. But yet, you must be calm to listen. So, yesterday I was just teaching somebody about the difference between anger management and patience management. And the difference is patience must be cultivated and it must be sustained. We must build patience within us. And when we do that, anger management then becomes a subset of patience management. So when somebody is patient, is empathetic, the person will have the ear to listen. But most companies may even read some of the feedback messages and all that, and just channel and span them that, oh, okay, these guys are just, crazy, that, and that. But when you are really empathetic, it takes your time to go beyond the text, to know the psychological package with which those messages came. And you open the zip to get to know the content. And you don't rush to unpack them. You take the item one after the other like a surgeon at work to know that these are the issues. And in your spirit of service, you look at how you can address them. Remember, the customer is not always right. Sometimes they can make mistakes as well. But even if they have made mistakes, find a nice way. For example, they accuse one of your workers of an issue, okay? And it came across that really were saying that you brought 3 phones to the hotel with all that, you can't find one of them. Later on, you called home and there's the other phone there. And the person who took your bag upstairs with you, now you know that that person is innocent. Okay? The hotel manager, for example, must be able to not go ballistic, okay, but find a nice way of letting the person know that the area reaction and all that could have been better and all that when they were saying they should take them their time to check and all that. It is important how we handle issues. How we handle issues at the very portrayal of who a leader is. The difference between a leader and a dictator is the amount of force they apply in addressing issues.
Wow. So let's try and wrap up on how businesses can recover from a damaged customer relationship. So how can businesses recover from a damaged customer relationship?
Thank you very much. There are a lot of maneuvering, a lot of Machiavellian tactics that companies use to get around this. And there are some very transparent ways in which companies also do. I can tell you for a fact, there's a lot of politics when it comes to companies. Companies have their own ways of doing politics with their services and products and the way they want to survive. You know about what even TikTok got banned in the US and all that, okay?
Yeah.
So businesses are really ambassadors of their parent companies and countries. And it depends on where a country, a company is situated in, that company can get away with a lot of stuff. We don't talk about politics of companies, but it's a big thing because they say we are in a global village, okay? But there are chiefs in the village, and there are sub-chiefs. Anyway, let me come back to our level here in terms of even the company level and what we can address. One big thing we need to know is we cannot cover a sore with a plaster unless we have dressed it well, isn't it? You cannot go talking about solving a problem by just giving it palliatives. We need to be able to look at whichever particular situation has happened in the company and find a more proactive and pragmatic ways of addressing them. Where a dent has been created in the image of a company, obviously, it will create an immediate setback. But that is what life is about. And that's where leadership is needed. When Toyota, in the mid of the 20s, faced the pedal, the brake failure and all that, because we are sourcing it, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they could have easily just thrown their hands in the air and say, oh, or even shift the blame to the people that they were outsourcing to. But they took the blame. That's Toyota. Just because they're producing for themselves, the whole brand is Toyota. So they took the leadership and addressed them. They called back those cars that were having the problems and all that. And look where they are now. Still the market leader in terms of sales. Okay? Nokia started so beautiful and became so happy with what they were doing before they could say Jack Robinson. They have been taken over. They are still struggling. They lost their market share and being the market leader. Motorola suffered the same thing. Barnes and Noble, the biggest bookshop in the world, lost to Amazon. Did not take charge of how the internet was going to really help. They lost out. So as a company, you must always be looking at the feedback and seeing how you can build upon it. Because the customer, to a great extent, determine the product and the nature of it that you sell. When they started yogurt in Ghana, it was soft, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they realized that Ghanaians, we have got sweetened. They added a bit of sugar. People are happy with it. So it's about knowing your customer and what they want. If you go to India and like McDonald's first realized, a lot of them are Hindus, they don't take beef. And if you go and do hamburgers or burgers with beef, are they going to take it? If you go to Saudi Arabia, you go and do something with pork, even in some communities in Ghana. If you go and do pork, whatever, people are not going to. Because you need to know your people. And that's what Get Hosted model, the national cultural model, helps us a lot for us to be able to know how we deal with people. If you are going to give a gift, for example, to China, and in China, and you're going to give a gift to a leader, it's very similar.
You're tuned in to Zed 101.9 FM.
Are we on?
Yes, sir, we are on. Sorry about
great.
that.
Okay, great. So in China, there's something called Mianzi. That means that if you want to say something to people when their colleagues are there, you have to be careful as a leader because they don't like dropping a tweet. In other words, you embarrassing them before others. You get it? In Japan, for example, when you are sitting down, the boss always sits about something very nice sofa with a sculpture or something in the background. All these are nuances we need to know. In Ghana, when you use your left hand to talk, people don't like it. When people are talking to you, turn your back to them, they are not happy about it. When you are going to do chocolate and it's all color black, it's not nice because we associate color black with with funerals and all that. You must know all these things as a company. There was a company called P-Cola, and P is like Vivian, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where is that company now? If you go on the internet and you type some of the worst brand names, that P-Cola is there, and it was right here in Ghana. Okay? So the naming, the brand identity, the whole brand association, the equity, the loyalty and all these things, these are all comprehensive things that we need to do, and it tells on how we are able to relate and how we are able to get the feedback from our customers and how we are able to respond, because we are all in the same boat together. And what is that boat? To serve our customers to the very best of our abilities, and our customers always also appreciating our effort in that direction.
Right, Prof. I want to say a very big thank you to you this morning for having this all-important conversation with us. Thank you very much for joining us. We're grateful. I think we've given some value, and I'm sure our listeners have learned a thing or two. So thank you. We hope to have you again some other time for some more conversations.
Great stuff. God bless.
God bless you too. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Right, and that's how we end Business Breakfast on here this morning. My name is Nitra B. Hammond, and it's been great chauffeuring you right from 6:15 a.m. till now. NY is ready to bring you the brighter side. Please stay tuned and keep it logged in on Z 101.9 FM. See you tomorrow.